Hey, welcome back to the Creator Bloc podcast. I'm your host, Elvis, aka Elvislikesphotos, and this podcast is brought to you by Creator Bloc. And what Creator Bloc is a collective and a platform where creatives tell their story, whether it's through collaboration, short films, or this podcast. And before we start, I do want to state that there's a timeline below in the description, somewhere there, and just take a look at it. I listed all the topics for this episode. So if you want to skip to your favorite part, go right ahead. There's a ton of things we covered. But on this episode, we speak to Aiyana, who is a model, creative director, stylist, and fashion designer. She recently started her own brand, and we go into depth as far as what her inspiration was behind that. And it was nice talking to her. Knowing a little bit about her story was very interesting, and I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Again, timeline in the description. Take a look at it, but here's the podcast. Try it. Keep talking.
Hello. Oh, there's a difference. There's a huge difference.
What the fuck is this?
Duo.
I'm confused. All right, I lowered that. No, I'm gonna put it higher actually, just in case. I don't even know what the fuck that does.
Untitled tracks.
It's like it doesn't record at this point. All right, I've been recording. How many minutes I'm at there?
This
Again,
sounds cool.
Huh? 2.5. All right. So I'm gonna put a timer in. That's why. Yeah, that's wild. 'Cause when I talk, I like mumble sometimes, and I've been trying to fix that. But I told my girlfriend, I'm like, "Yo, Siri doesn't work and shit." She's like, "That's because you fucking mumble," and I'm like, "You're right."
Siri's like, what language are you speaking?
What the fuck are you talking about? Because it doesn't work sometimes.
Facts.
All right, so we're gonna start. Aiyana, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Elvis?
I'm good. We've been saying we're gonna do a podcast for so long.
Literally like a year. Maybe a year and a half.
Right?
Maybe 2 years.
Maybe 2 years. I think so.
Nah, maybe like a year and a half.
How did I even meet you? I forgot. Instagram, right?
Maybe. I think the first day we met, we were with Manny Tigo. And we shot.
Yeah, that's when we shot. That
at
was
the
the first time we
arcade.
shot.
Yeah.
That was, I don't even know how long ago was
That
it.
had
That
to
was,
be like a
that was
year and a
before
half.
the studio too.
Yeah.
That was before the studio. And I remember like we were going to shoot. I had no idea where to shoot because I did want to shoot somewhere. But I asked Manny, I'm like, "Yo, do you have any ideas?" And he was just like, "Let's do the arcade." I was like, "All right, fuck it." So
That shit was dope.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a fun arcade. I remember going. It was Funplex, I think. I remember going there.
It
for
was
for my high school, senior thing. That was funny.
That was the first time and only time I've been to Funplex, but it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. When I went the first time in high school, like we stayed overnight, and they had like 17 buses from high school.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, because our senior class was 600 students.
That's insane.
Yeah,
mine
it's
was
wild.
mine was about 600 as well.
That's wild. Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's a
500,
lot.
600. Is it?
Yeah, that's a lot. Because like our high school. Oh wait, were you in PCTI?
No, I went to Bloomfield High.
Really?
Yeah.
I know PCTI is bigger than Clifton High.
That's wild. But Antonio just said of 1,300 students for your senior class.
For your senior class? Yeah. Holy shit!
That's
what the hell?
crazy. That's literally double.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's why you only saw a bunch of us.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
What the fuck? Yo, that's crazy. My thing was like 600-700.
Really? I thought you guys had a little.
You know what? I think a lot of the Aspire kids graduate in your year.
Probably.
There was hella Aspire kids.
Yeah.
Aspire kids.
All right, so high school had a concept that they separate.
Left behind.
Yeah. So they had a concept where the kids that are failing horribly get put in a different school. And
What?
it's still CHS, but what they do is concentrate classes and lessons on them. So all they do is like catch up on work. But
That's pretty nice.
it's really nice. But in theory, it's nice. But the fucked up part is that a lot of people would finish their work early, like mid-year. And if they finish the other year, they literally skip a grade.
Yeah.
What?
That's what Flav did.
What?
He skipped a grade because he was in Aspire. So if you're doing good, you stick to the 4 years. If you're
Right.
doing excellent, you barely skip a grade. Like that's really hard to skip a grade in concept, right? But when you're in Aspire, it's very easy to skip a grade, which makes no fucking sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's insane. I actually, my mom, she had the option to make me skip a grade when I was like really little. And she said no because she didn't want me to be like left behind when my friends got licensed and
Yeah.
shit. I don't know. I think it would have been kind of cool, but
Oh, I was gonna say, like, did that fuck you up? Like, were you just like, Mom, why'd you do that? Why didn't you let me skip
I
a grade?
wondered, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Because, like, everything happens for a reason. So I wouldn't have been the person. I might have not even known you guys.
That's true. What year did you graduate?
16.
Oh wow. I was 2013.
I would have been right there with you. Well, 15, but
You were 2014, right? Josh, you were 2016. Oh, you guys are the same year.
literally 5 days apart.
Really? Oh shit. All right. The first the first thing. All right. So Aiyana, tell us about yourself, cuz let everyone know who you is.
Okay, so I am a model, a creative director, a stylist, and a fashion designer.
Okay. How did you get into, what was the first thing you got into?
Out of those, I guess modeling and creative directing, because I've been modeling since I was little for different things and acting as well. But over the last 2 years, that's when I really delve into the modeling industry, and I would say like that's when I actually like started my career
As
a
modeling?
model. Yeah.
What made you want to get into that? Like, have you always been in it?
Well, a lot of my friends were just sorry. A lot of my friends were creative, so I had a lot of photographer friends, a lot of people that just like to make art, like to make clothes, like to make different things. So they all asked me to just model it for them, model their brands, act in their like little films, like things like that. And then from there, I kind of just like fell in love with it, and I fell in love with like both sides of the camera, and I just like filled my days with it, literally.
How early on do you remember that though? Like, what was like the first time you were just like, I want to get into the creative field?
It was like a subtle thing. I didn't think so much as like, okay, I'm going to get into it, more as like I already, like, I don't know, the universe just pushed me into that direction. And it was when I had like 4 or 5 shoots in one day, and then I was like, you know what, I actually like this. And I was just going like from all different places. I was styling all of the shoots, I was helping other models pose and get dressed for their shoots. So it was kind of like a thing that the universe, I feel, pushed me into, and I just loved it. That was maybe like a year, 2 years
So
ago.
growing up, what were you into though? Like, what was
Art was
really?
always my thing. Yeah, drawing, painting. Painting was actually a huge thing for me too. Last year I was in the Art Expo of New York, so that was
I remember that.
that
How
was
was
pretty
that?
cool. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It was an experience as
Yeah.
fuck. Like, I was like the youngest person in there. The lady next to me was like, I don't know how old she was. She was older. She was, yeah, she was probably like 40, 50s, but
Really?
she's like awesome. She actually, she was like an oil painter, and she ended up painting me and Josh, like
way.
afterwards.
Really?
Yeah, like recently.
No way.
Yeah, it was really cool. But like everybody around me was like 50s, 40s, so I was there.
I remember you were in debate.
The lady next to me was 60.
Guy next to you, like, so you had, like,
Oh yeah. That guy with the cool ass paintings.
yeah, symmetrical ass like paintings. Like,
Oh yeah, that's my thing. Like being symmetry like that. That's my thing. Like
Yeah.
having symmetry.
Yeah, you would have
like
loved that guy
architecture.
right next to us.
It's like fucking. You know what it is? Because I think for me, art is like understanding of what makes things tick.
Right.
And when you look at architecture, you see fucking crazy ass buildings, and like it looks like it doesn't make sense. But when you get to the fundamentals, you're just like, oh, that makes sense. Like why it held up, you know?
Facts.
So then for me, like it makes sense why pictures look good. So that's why I do a lot of symmetry, because I'm just like naturally symmetry. You're just drawn to it, you know? Like beauty, naturally having a symmetrical face, you're just naturally gonna be more
That's
attractive.
true. That's very true.
And like your nose shape to like your eyes, it's like it all has to do with the golden ratio. Like the width of this has to be like half of this, and then like a third of this or something like that.
That's true.
It's like mad. It's so much like the golden ratio. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that shit is insane. Which is why, like, in the Art Expo, it was so interesting because, like, there was some things that was like all symmetrical, and then there was other things that was like completely off the wall. Like this guy had, like, they weren't paintings, but they were art. They were like faces and shit made out of nails.
Oh, that's wild.
Literally made out of nails. Like they had so much crazy ass like beautiful things, and it was all different perspectives, all different like kinds of art, sculptures, paintings, drawings, like mixed media. It was so interesting. And then being that all of these people were so much older, it was so interesting to see and like be surrounded by that type of energy. It was amazing.
I remember you were in debate that like whether or not you were gonna go through with it.
Yeah,
'Cause
literally.
we were in Matt's studio and you were talking about that. You're just like, should I go through with it?
Wow.
Because I remember that. And I was
After that day, like I literally like I signed up.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. I'm never gonna, like, and I'm happy I did, because that moment, even if I did the Art Expo, even if I do it, sometime down the future, it still wouldn't have been the same as.
Yeah, no, because you're young right now, so all that influence, like, you're subconsciously gonna take in.
Facts. And that actually was the start, what kind of pushed me to go towards fashion design as well, in a weird way. It was supposed to happen.
So you technically recently started, what was it, Vinyana? How do you say it?
Vinyana.
Vinyana Global.
Vinyana Global.
Vinyana Global. Okay, so the first time, how did that name come up? I'm assuming
it came up because I was like, what the fuck am I gonna name this shit? Like, I was like, just like asking everybody. I was like, just like in thought for hours at a time, just thinking about it. And then my mom's boyfriend, we were all like sitting around, like throwing ideas at like what the name was gonna be, and he was like, just like it was so weird. He just like stopped, and like we were talking, and he just stopped, and he was like, "What about Vinyana?" And I was like, and it was like doorbells ringing, like everything just like sparkles, and that was the one.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so it was crazy.
He was like literally soaking it all in. He's just like, this is the name.
Was like just breathing all in silence. We were talking, we were spitting out hella names, and then he was just like, Vinyana, and I was like, oh my god, that's it. And
if it wasn't that, what was your second choice?
I have no idea.
No, what were some of the names then, at least?
I don't know. Like, I wasn't really interested. I didn't want it to be corny. I didn't want it to be something that was like normal. I wanted it to be something different. And Vinyana kind of like, the reason why he said Vinyana was because it's like vintage and Yana.
I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, so it was like a subtle thing, but
Yeah.
once he said it, I don't know, the ring, I just like heard it and I saw it, and like,
But what was one of the names you came up
bro,
with?
I have no idea. Like, do you remember?
I'm here like trying to think. I'm like, what did we came up with some like stupid ass
Like stupid shit, like vintage something, but like I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be like somewhat, different.
Like integrated, like how he did it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. When I saw I saw it, and I was just like, it's definitely like vintage, and then Aiyana, because like it just flows like that.
Literally.
That's what I figured. So I'm glad that's like what you guys actually like.
Yeah,
intended it
because
to
like
be.
honestly, I do a lot of like mixing, because I feel like nothing is even though everything is just one.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's always a duality in it. There's always a balance. So what I like to do is like, even with this jacket, there are two different fabrics. So I like to do a lot of things as like mixing. So vintage, Yana, even when I was designing the logo, like for a minute I had Vin and Yana in two different fonts and two different like looks, two different like typography kind of things, because it's two in one in a sense.
So who came up with the logo? Was that you?
Me, yeah.
How long did that take you? Like, was it?
It took a while, and then I actually had my friend, another graphic designer, like come in and try and do it, but like I don't know. So it took me a while. It took me maybe like 3 weeks to finally get
Like a full, like, solid piece.
Yeah, because as a graphic designer, like it's so hard to make your own logo.
That's what you studied? Graphic design, right?
Yeah, I went to school for graphic design.
Is your mom like into art?
My mom loves art. She actually like is such a good drawer. She could just sketch anybody and anything in like 2 seconds. It's so good. I had her make a Instagram. It's called Doodle with a K or some shit like that. And she puts like a whole bunch of like just little things she does on newspapers, on napkins.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm like, Mom, these are so good.
That'd be so cool.
Right?
How did she get into art? Do you know? Or she's always kind of been into
Always
it?
into art.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something in like our blood.
I was gonna say, like, I'm assuming that's what like got you into it, because apparently like my girlfriend's like great grandfather, he was like a famous tailor.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he used to do like government people and stuff, and he was like pretty wealthy.
Oh shit.
So then like she's like the genes passed on to like my mom and then her and stuff like that.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah,
it's funny
mad
because
weird.
my grandmother was like, she modeled, and so did my
Really?
mom. My mom has modeling pictures, and I didn't even realize, but like recently I started looking at different photos, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that goes so deep. And even my grandmother, she used to like redesign her own clothes, and that's how I started. So it's interesting.
I think family history is so important, and it's upsetting because I only know up to like my great grandparents, but like no, my great grandparents, but I only know their name. Like I don't know their story. I don't even know my grandparents' story. Like the first time I met them was like last year, literally. And my parents, like I roughly know something about them.
Could you like ask them?
They
about...
don't. They sometimes give me like conversations. I think that's something like I haven't like actually tried, but they would tell me, and a lot of times like they kind of like they're very vague about it. Like when it comes to talking about their own history sometimes. And
I wonder why that is.
yeah, I think I think because it was very basic. Like it was like
Basic.
when I went to like to visit, it's literally a main road and a random city,
Oh shit.
and it's almost like they just picked a random spot in the fucking desert and they just built a community there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's mad weird.
That's really beautiful though.
It's cool. Like the landscapes are amazing. I get why, but I'm like, where the fuck do these resources come from? Like, where do you guys get water? Like, that's wild.
That's crazy. We've been watching this like doomsday shit because I don't
By the
know.
way, outside of the frame is Josh. Josh, pop your head in, and then and then behind sitting the camera, which is Antonio's studio. Antonio, which is the last podcast I did.
I gotta watch it.
Tony, thank you for letting us do it here. By
Facts. Thank you. Your house is amazing.
the way, yeah, it's fucking cool, right? In
Yeah.
here.
It's mad like vintage vibes.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's very old
Goodness.
school. All right, so what were you saying? It was the
What was I saying?
Doomsday.
Oh yeah, doomsday. So like they're like all like preppers and they like have like a whole bunch of food. These people are making like bunkers out in like 5 miles, 10 miles away from their homes, and they're like near.
oh.
Away from their home. Like, you think it's going far. Like,
Oh yeah, I think I've seen like that. That's
That shit is crazy.
Bus, right?
Yeah, like they have buses, they have trains. There's one dude that traveled across the Central Park in like a fucking canoe.
He was literally in a canoe.
I'm like, is that legal right now? Like
I
apocalyptic.
don't know actually. I think people actually do that. They
What
go
if you get
ski.
hit by a boat?
They go ski like they
Oh,
go jet
really?
skiing. Yeah,
That would be lit.
it's
That'd be
mad
really
dirty
lit.
though.
I was doing it in New York.
My
That'd be
girlfriend's
so cool.
my girlfriend's cousin did that, and when they came back, they smelled like shit.
Really?
Yeah, because the water's contaminated.
I mean, it makes sense, but like just that experience alone,
I still would probably do it though.
that would be so cool. Like in the Hudson, just
Come back
like
mad mutated and shit, but
come back, roll up.
grow an extra arm or something.
That should be fire.
Jet ski itself will melt.
Yeah. the jet ski's literally
You end up
disintegrating
just
with that.
floating.
Yeah, no, that's scary though. How
Yeah.
much pollution that happened. Because
Yeah.
in one, I saw like this TikTok when like people go up to like the One World Trade Center, and like they show you like the years passing by, like it's an LED screen around the elevator,
What?
and they show you like a year, like throughout the years how New York has developed into like a city.
That's crazy.
It's mad cool actually.
Going up it?
Yeah, when you're going up, I don't know if you've seen that, but like
That's
it's like a
so
video.
I
beautiful.
saw it on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, it's mad cool actually. Like
That's
it shows like it
so
was
beautiful.
grasslands, and then like slowly it was like a colonies, and then like little by little you got to like cities. and
That's so
skyscrapers.
wild. I think there's a movie. I think it's 2012. That is the
Oh,
craziest
yeah.
movie where like everything just goes down. Like
Because the
everything.
world was supposed to end in Y2K. It was supposed to end like 666, which is 2006.
No, but man, like our world is like
then-
changing. Like there's so many earthquakes right now in the Caribbean and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico
Dominican
got hit
Republic.
again. That sucks, man.
Yo, with like I think 8-point magnitude earthquakes and
yeah,
shit.
that sucks because
Like, it's-
people are still recovering from the fucking
Yeah.
from the hurricane.
Then Australia is on fire.
Oh, that was wild.
There's like so much shit that's going on. And then meanwhile,
Iran, like what's going on?
yeah, literally. And then meanwhile, during all of this, it's January and it's about to be 65 this weekend. That's
you're right.
so scary because a few years ago they literally postponed or postponed.
I think postponed.
They literally
Josh the grammar
Postponed it.
police.
they literally postponed Halloween in October because of this huge ass blizzard, and now it's like 65.
It was like it was blackouts everywhere. You know, I remember that. That was like years ago. Remember there was a blackout because of the snow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
so much.
no, it was a hurricane, I think.
Yeah, it was the hurricane and there was like a blackout for
Yo,
like 2 weeks.
that was so cool.
Yeah.
Because I remember roaming around and like at night you see like flares from the police like just guiding people, and I was like, yo, this is a fucking apocalypse. And then I remember the only store being open was a Chinese store like by by like AutoZone and stuff. That Chinese store was the only one open.
Of course, why would
That's
And they had
crazy.
candles like lit, and then we were just walking in. We're just like, "Is this open?" And they're like, "Yeah, come in." I'm like, "What the hell?"
What? They're cooking with candles.
Yeah, that
Yo.
was mad funny.
That is insane.
They work, man.
Yeah, they don't.
That's the immigrant hustle.
Facts.
It's so crazy. That was mad funny though. Because they were
That's
the only ones open that we were just like. Cause I remember I was skating at the time and I was like riding around.
What?
All right, so you're into design,
Yes.
fashion, modeling.
Yes.
So how do you link all that? What do you consider yourself as a creative?
I consider myself like all of the above because I really love all aspects of photography, whether it's modeling or photography or fashion, because it's a sign of self-expression to me. So I feel like I link all of those easily because a lot of times I end up modeling my own clothes, but as well, my boyfriend being a photographer, it's a lot like easier to just like completely delve into the creative field as well. So when I make clothes, like not only I want to start having other models and other like making brand shoots, making like I have an idea for like a promo shoot in the city, getting maybe like 6 models in it, guys and girls, and just like really, but I feel like it goes hand in hand. I feel like it definitely goes hand in hand. And being that I also help sometimes like pose models as well, it like creative direction, all of that, it like all links to one.
Because it's good because either none of it actually defines you. And I feel like if, say for whatever reason, you couldn't model ever again, like it wouldn't really affect you. You still have other aspects to creative, like to be creative in. Like for me, like if my camera for some reason was illegal for me to use a camera or some shit like that, I think it wouldn't affect me.
Right.
Like I'd be perfectly fine. I'd be like, all right, that's fine. I'll just figure something else out.
It's just an adaptation. Yeah, exactly. It's just
it's
like
a tool. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a tool.
Plus, like modeling for me has like my perspective on it has shifted a little bit throughout like certain music videos that I've been doing and stuff. Like sometimes models like have to be put in like a weird position, have to wear like no clothes and like type things, and like I have separated myself a little bit from that. So as far as like
it's interesting because that's a very you're right, like it's a very common thing to do, but it's not models.
Yeah, it's not. It's just people. And then like I don't know, it's not really like a model thing. Like you don't need to be a model to be in a music video. Like nowadays you really don't. It's just somebody, you know, who works at a diner. Yeah, like that's willing to not wear clothes. And like at that point I kind of like separated myself a little bit. So music videos I'm still doing, but like really cool ones. The last one I did was it was a bar mitzvah. It was a bar mitzvah scene, and this shit ended up being crazy. It was lit as fuck, but it wasn't, you know, the usual like wearing no clothes type of thing. So I've more with modeling. I've been going more towards brands, towards like beauty, towards editorial.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, because a few years ago, as far as getting signed, it was like a little controversial because some agencies end up like taking advantage of some models, and sometimes they just want to sign you but they don't get any gigs. So if you're signed, then you cannot work with another agency who has gigs. So it's kind of like
that's how it works,
limiting. Yeah. So now though I'm deciding that like if it comes, I'm going to accept it, because I think that that is more in line of like what I want to do as far as maybe like shooting for Nike or shooting for Burlington Coat Factory or something like that, more editorial, more fashion based. That's where I want to be.
And have you been trying, or like you just kind of like
I've been trying and things have been like coming up to me. Maybe like a month ago, this lady came up to me and she said, she was like, she asked me if I was a model. She asked me for my card, and she said that she was traveling to Brazil, but she would be back in March. And she said that like she had an agency and she had this whole like fashion brand type of thing, but like also more of a magazine. And she said, the end of the conversation, she was like, you may have just been scouted. Don't forget that. Like, keep going. And I was like, And even, like, no matter what happens with that, I have her email, but she's in Brazil or some shit. Yeah. But, like, even no matter what happens with that, that was the universe telling me to just keep going and, like, maintain my morals type thing. You know?
That's good. That's really good.
So I definitely am going to go more towards that direction. We just got published for a beauty magazine. Ooh. Yeah. And then I also got published for... like a wedding designer. So that was cool. That was also going more into my field. So like things are happening slowly but surely.
How would you describe your brand then? How would you describe like your personal style?
I like a lot of, I don't know, because everything with me, I think it's important to have self-expression. So that's what I do with my fashion. Mm-hmm. And that's also what I do with my modeling. I like to like bring personality. I like to bring emotion to it. So I feel like the amount of times people send me videos or pictures or screenshots of Vogue and say like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be you one day. I see it. The amount of times I get that
That's so cool.
is crazy. And I'm like, this can't be for nothing. Like it can't be for nothing. It can't be just random people just telling me this. Like it has to be the universe in a sense, like pushing me towards that direction. So my brand, I would say, is more just like love and just like expressing yourself and acceptance and just like gratitude for who you are. That's kind of like what I would put off.
You get bread.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
It's recording, right, Antonio? Just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. All right. So Aiyana, I wanted to mention something because you mentioned the universe a lot. What is like your belief? Like, how do you describe that?
My belief.
Yeah.
I feel like we are the universe in a sense. Like everything is within us. Everything is our intention. Everything is like our intuition, and we are all one. So the universe, I feel like, definitely hints and definitely like shows signs to you if you're aware of it, whether it's through numbers, whether it's through people, whether it's through things. Like it will always affect you in some way, even if whatever happens, even if it's an event and that event teaches you what you want to be like, or it teaches you like what you don't want to be like. Everything is like in an essence meant to happen and like pushes you towards whatever you want. And
Okay.
honestly, there's another like, I think you don't get what you deserve, you get what you think you deserve. So it's all about like your mindset at all points. It's all about your thoughts and how you're carrying yourself and your intention behind everything.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like getting touch bases with that, but I don't like going too deep because like there's no wrong answer with that.
Yeah.
So
It's all a matter of
like,
perspective.
It's like politics.
Yeah.
Like
Literally. Like what you believe.
It's just like let me.
Yeah.
But I like hearing different perspectives though. That's interesting.
It's interesting. What do you believe?
It's like similar. I do believe there's an actual being like out there. Not necessarily has to be God, but like it's like a lot of shows and a lot of interesting perspectives that came from that. But this one I remember in particular was mentioning that it's like everything in the same time, like how everything's connected. When you go to a different dimension, everything makes sense. But in this dimension, this is what we only see. It's like when you look at a shadow,
Right.
you know how you look at the wall,
Right.
and it doesn't make sense. Like if you look at just that, and like how if you rotate your hand, it changes the shadow.
Right.
But then when you see a 3D image, which is like you see a hand, then it makes sense.
Right.
And then when you go to 4D, then it makes sense.
Right.
So it's an infinite kind of thing. I believe in alternate dimensions. I believe in all that
Absolutely.
because I feel like that makes sense. I feel like it wouldn't make sense if there was only one timeline and one dimension of one version of yourself.
Right.
Because and that's why I believe destiny and free will coexist, because this is your destiny if you let it, but there's an alternate version of yourself that's a different destiny,
Right.
and that's the free will part. But if you keep going that path, that's your destiny. So
Right.
they both make sense.
Bro, it's crazy.
Yeah.
They both make sense. It doesn't make sense why it wouldn't. Like if you go to this destiny, that destiny still exists.
Right.
Like that could easily happen,
Right.
but you're just not in it. Your other yourself is in it. You
Right.
know?
Right.
So
Like the Rick and Morty episode of Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, bro. I don't know about Rick and Morty, but literally, so I tell her every time, I'm like, listen, when you're making a decision, you need to be sure in your decision, because
Yeah.
if not, you create alternate timelines.
you need to be sure.
Because imagine you're just doing a billion things, and there are people doing
A billion timelines.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is hopping into different timelines, which makes your head always like indecisive, and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Because you're in alternate timelines.
Precisely. So I'm like, yo, listen, you need to know what you're gonna choose, because say for example you chose between the Altoids or Spearmint. Now for all you know, there's gonna be a loop where you're just stuck between Spearmint and Altoids. Just get one and get it over with.
Because you'll never know the alternative, and that's like
That's
the
true.
that's the blessing of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone says that they want to know everything in the world, but like, do you really?
No,
Like,
we
do you
don't.
really?
Because like the more you know, the more like ignorance is bliss type of thing. So like the more you know, the more responsibility you have in a sense of like
And it's great to know like everything, but it's like, do you really want to know? Like, if you want to know everything, you know what that means? That means knowing exactly what moment you die in what moment every single person you know dies.
Yeah.
Like, do you really want to know that?
Knowing when anybody is lying to you, knowing when things are not going to work out, knowing when things are going to happen, you know, natural disasters, the things about like technical things, cars, anything. Like knowing everything would be hurtful in a sense. But which is why like going back to like dimensions and other realities, like even if, you know, you're like stuck in thought and you're trying to decide something, like sometimes if you have an intuition of something that like you're like maybe I shouldn't do that or something, and then you end up doing that, those are two different options like of ways to go. But if you follow the one that you know like something's gonna happen and you just take that route just for an experience and you see that something actually does happen, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Bro, we were in the city literally 2-3 days ago, and I had to really use the bathroom. There was a fucking like a construction site,
Yeah.
and literally I saw it, and I'm like, yo, I gotta use the bathroom. She's like, yo, just wait till we get to the place. I'm like, no, I really gotta go. I climb it, knowing that as I climb it, there's gonna be cops.
Yeah.
Pulling up right behind me. Literally, as I come down, cops are pulling up. They're like, what are you doing? I'm just like, I had to use the bathroom. I didn't want to pee on the ground. You guys are giving me a ticket. They're like, you can't be climbing stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. But like, I knew that was going to happen if I did it.
Like, you know, the alternative. Yeah.
It's so
But
crazy.
you had to pee
And
though.
he did it anyway. But it was just to show you like the power of your mind and the fact that you knew and you didn't follow your intuition. And if you would have waited, you would have saw that cop passing by and going down the street, and you would have been like, fuck.
I like this one quote that they said. It's like, I forgot who said it, but no, it's cool. I want to make a quote, but it was like that. What you don't know in your subconscious, you'll reenact and relive, thinking it's fate. And it's wild because, you know, when people talk about that, oh, those signs are like, you know, follow the signs. Like, I'm looking for the signs and stuff. Like, you're literally the ones putting those signs in the first place for yourself to find.
Facts.
Like, that's how it works.
Facts.
It's like when you get a car, you know, you start to see that car everywhere.
Right.
It's like no one got that car like after you. Like
Right.
that's already been there. You just put those signs being like, oh, this is what I want and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's what your mind is thinking about. And so that like just transforms
But
and expands.
and that's what's interesting about belief and like your subconscious mind, because you put those things out there, then you're just following it. But those are things you put there in the first place. Like,
Right.
it's not somebody giving you signs. This is yourself giving you signs. But at
Yeah.
the same time, yourself is like everything.
and then
you know, it all
yourself
exists.
is everything and you are everyone. And
Yeah.
then
So that's like, and that's like a separate, like, that's interesting though. But I just like hearing perspective. That's why I
Yeah,
asked you
facts.
that. All right. So what are you currently up to right now?
currently right now I am making jackets. I just made this one.
I was going to ask you about that.
I'm making a men's one, and so I didn't release them. I've just been wearing this because I love
cold
it,
out.
and it's so warm, bro. Like I'm so proud of myself. But I'm making a men's one, and then I just want to like start making jackets for the next month or two, and just because I learned how, I taught myself, so that's something I'm really proud of.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
very cool.
That's what I want to do.
What was your inspiration behind like Vinyana? Like, why did you want to make a brand?
I think that like it's important to be yourself and kind of like stand out. So the reason why I started was I was just making clothes for myself, for like events, for music videos, for things like that. And then it started picking up. People started asking like, where can I get one? Can you make me one? And then I was like, like this is something. And then I started kind of like, something I really do with fashion is I don't make to sell. I make to wear. I make it so that I know that I would like it, or I would wear it, or I would rock it. And because I have so many different perspectives on everything, so on fashion, like there's so many different like looks that I like. So it's like I can kind of like relate to all of them. So I like to make things that are really bold, yet also subtle, yet also vintage. So another thing I was making is sweatpants, and I like cut up a whole bunch of t-shirts, and I basically like put them together in a way that's really dope, and it has like reflective shit, and it has like, it's just something that's definitely an eye turner when you go to an event or when you go to a party. We went to a party and I was wearing mine and Josh was wearing his, and there was a girl, like, she just stopped and she was like, can I ask you guys a question? She was like, where did you guys get those pants? And I was like, me. And it's just like subtle things that like nobody else will wear it. Nobody else like can have those exact pants. Everything is one of one, which I think is important because we are all one of one. So
that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, that's nice. That's true.
I like custom things because like everybody is their own person. So like to run into a party and then see somebody wearing the exact same thing. I don't know. Never liked it.
Yeah.
Not me. So that's where it kind of started
It's
from.
like a thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
It's like, for me, uncomfortable. Don't like it. Not at all. But there's like a lot of people like will wear the same dress and will wear, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just
not
like
you.
it's not me, and
Yeah.
it's not like your full self-expression. That's not fully you. You know.
It's interesting because for me, my personal style is like simplicity, and anything I wear is just supposed to be like the most like simplistic. Like it's just like there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But it's like it's just me. Like it's almost like mysterious in a way.
Yeah.
Which is why like I don't have tattoos.
Totally
and
you.
like I think about it, and I'm like I don't know if I want to get tattoos. And like I tell my girlfriend that too, and then she's just like, I mean, if you really wanted it, you probably would have gotten it by now. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Because like
That's
I think
true.
about it, but I don't know. I like the clean look, you know.
I
I'm gonna keep
feel
it as
that.
long as I can.
I think that the same way because like when I was growing up, I always said that I was gonna get several tattoos, and
Yeah, me
like my
too.
perspective growing up was like, this is your home, this is your temple, you might as well decorate it, you know. But there was another comedian that was like saying, he was like, come on, he's like, I don't get tattoos, I don't put bumper stickers on Ferraris. I was like, that's facts. Like whatever you have, like literally if you have sleeves, it's cool and all, it's great, but like you're gonna be wearing that same like t-shirt in a
Yeah.
sense, that same long sleeve shirt
Yeah.
for the rest of your life.
And that's what I like about it. Like simplicity is like, it's like everything is sophisticated. It's like it's nice, but that's just like me, you know. Because like if I would have worn something like trendy, it just wouldn't fit me. Like it doesn't fit my personality.
Right. And that's your
and
self-expression.
that's my self-expression. My expression, like, yeah, like I just can't, you know, it doesn't look good on
Doesn't
me.
work.
Like, you know, my shoes are slip-ons right now. Like this is how
That's so Elvis.
I
Like,
literally have slip-ons right now,
that'd
and
be
I have
named
high socks.
Elvis.
Easy access.
The Elvises.
Yeah, I hate laces, man. I don't know why, and I always wondered. I thought that was like a new thing, but my mom said that I've always hated laces. Like
That's
as a
crazy.
kid, I just didn't like it. I just took them off like all the time.
Wow, that's crazy because like in a sense you were like like you were like born in as Elvis, like, and you like grew up and like transformed.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's crazy. I wonder like if in your last life you used to just wear like loafers.
Maybe I was
Maybe.
old. I always told myself I like the old style. I mean, I wear high socks all the time.
Is
Like-
that like kids wear high socks?
No, but that's like
But, like,
me.
the crazy
Yeah, I
ones.
wear like simple high socks. Like they're all one color.
But that's so
Yeah.
Elvis.
You know what? I don't want to think about it. I just want to wear it. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's just my thing.
Are
But,
you more like comfort based, like comfort oriented?
At first, no, because I used to wear a lot of suits, and suits aren't as comfortable as people
Yeah,
think they
they're
are.
not.
But then I started getting comfort suits, and I started getting very comfortable, and I'm just like, I just like simplistic. Like,
Yeah.
anything that looks simplistic, like I just like. So I've always been like that. Like I
I
want to
feel
look.
that.
I want to look like I could wear it casually and then still look fine if I'm gonna go out.
I feel
That
that.
was just my thing.
I've always been like the complete opposite way, and not even like purposeful, but like I don't know. I always like the art in outfits, I guess. So
That's an expression. Yeah, you're right. It's an expression.
Yeah, and I guess like starting modeling and stuff like that, I always styled myself. So it's kind of like, even when I was little, like I think about it in elementary school, I had this like thing, it was like a square and it was put into like 5 or 7, I don't know. One
Yeah.
of them boxes or kind of like container type things. I don't know. It was like foldable and like basically it was every outfit for the day. And
Really?
like, yeah, and like I had like an outfit and everything, and like I would like change them if I was on Wednesday and I was like, I'm not feeling that Friday anymore. I would change it. But like thinking back, like that's wild. I was
Yeah.
in elementary school doing that.
That's funny.
So it's so interesting because like now, even like as a model, I have like
You got-
suitcases full of outfits just in case. Like it's ridiculous.
And my thing was like, I mean, I've always laid out my outfits like the day before, like when I like to. But the thing is, I want it to be so mixed match. Like anything you put together is versatile,
Right.
and that's not like uniqueness. It's just like that whole wardrobe is like one outfit,
Right.
And that's what I liked.
Facts.
Like these shoes, I can wear with anything I have on. This
I
sweater,
can't
I
do
can wear
that.
anything I have on.
I can't do that. I have like yellow, like bright ass yellow Adidas. They would not go with
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, and that's interesting how different that world we live in
Facts.
like that.
Facts.
Because like for me, like if I could wear one T-shirt, like I just need 3 colors. Like all I get when I look for clothing is navy,
Black and white.
black, gray, and then beige.
Oh,
Those
wow.
are my colors.
Do you wear white or not really?
Oh, white too. Yeah, forgot. But like it's
The
just like those
basics.
colors. Like yeah, it's just basics.
The base.
My thing is just basics.
That's
That's all
wild.
it is.
That's kind of beautiful though, because in a sense, you're just letting yourself, speak.
Because like I said, it's mysterious. It's just like you don't know anything about
Right.
like what's going on. Like a white
Sure.
shirt, like you don't know what brand it is. You don't know anything.
That's true.
It could be the most expensive brand you know, or it could not be. I mean, I don't care about that, but like you know what I mean. Like it could just. It's
That's
just,
true though.
You just don't know.
Yeezy has a white T-shirt for like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you just don't know. I don't know. The versatility I like though.
J. Cole still dresses like very simple. I
Really?
think. Yeah.
I haven't seen J Cole in a while.
Like if you saw J. Cole on the street, like you wouldn't really know, like that he's famous type of thing.
What are your current projects, by the way?
My current projects are, well, I have this one idea for like a fashion design, set design that we're gonna do. We're gonna do like a whole shoot, coming soon.
Coming soon.
But I'm really excited about it. We just started like thinking about like props and shit. So that's gonna be a cool project going forward. And then also just like
That's for Vinyana. Or just
Vinyana
personal.
model, kind of like all. So we're like
You're just gonna integrate it.
combining, yeah, everything. And then I also want to just get like these puff jackets out, these pants that I have an idea for, and just like kind of just like get those out and get into more stores.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What stores are you in right now?
I'm in a store in Brooklyn. I'm in a store in Totowa, and I'm in the process of getting into a store in Jersey City.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you hit them up and just like let them know, or how does that work?
It kind of works out. I think the first one I did was through an event. I just had like all my clothes out, and then he reached out to me and he was like, hey, if you want to have some of your stuff, it was a vintage store. If you want to have some of your stuff in here, we can do that. And so that was my first store. I moved towards this one in Totowa. I went in, I was a designer, and she was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. Like, do you want to be our in-house designer? And I was like, sign me the fuck up. So that's good. And then there's another vintage store in Jersey City, which I'm excited about, but I'm working more towards like getting more inventory, just
Like your
working.
own-
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe for like the next week or two, and then moving forward.
How do you source your stuff? Is it all vintage?
All vintage.
All vintage.
Yeah.
What vintage shops around here?
I go to a lot of thrift stores, New York, New Jersey.
And you just shop around and get like, what's your process with that then? Like, do you just know what you're gonna do with
Oh
it
my gosh.
beforehand, or?
Is my I don't like. I like to like go. No, like I like to go through different racks and stuff, and I'll divide it into 3 different things. So I'll either do like vintage sets, or I'll have things for like sweatpants, or I'll have things for like jackets, and like from those 3 things I just go.
Oh, and then you have pre-concepts or no, or just you just kind of decide afterwards?
A little bit of both, because I don't like to like plan too much, because I know just life happens, so it can't always be planned. Even for like outfits now, like I don't plan my outfits ahead of time. It's a more sort of like a thing, like right at the spot,
Josh,
like however I'm feeling, like
You probably spent like hours like right before the shoot.
literally. Literally. But sometimes I'll be set. I'll have like a suitcase like just ready.
Josh, how many times has that happened?
Son, the suitcase gets made 30 minutes before we're walking.
Kind of.
Oh my god.
What can you do? It's right at the moment, you know? Because if I would have,
It's really just like, because for me,
It's an expression.
it is.
Right.
It is.
Because like it's a reflection at the same time. Like me, I like to, if I have to be at somewhere at 1:00,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be up by 10. I'm gonna be ready to go by 11:00.
Yeah.
That way when it's 12, I'm probably getting ready to get into the car. 12:15, I'm on my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's me.
That's true.
You gotta be somewhere today. We have to be here at 11. It's 10:43. I'm like, yo, baby, we gotta go. It's 11:00. She's like, no, it's not 11:00. I'm like, it's 10:43. It's 11:00. And then I don't know, but it just shows that no matter what, you're always on time. And that's what she showed me. Like no matter what, and it's crazy because there was another.
Yeah, you're always on
girl.
time.
We were both. Her and the other girl were both 2 hours late.
No, you're lying. It was 45 minutes. It was 45 minutes.
She started at 7. Everything started at 9:00.
No,
Try to remember.
it was 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
It felt like 2 hours.
We were really late. We were really, really late. But it so happened that literally right before I got there, the other model
person-
still wasn't there, and she just got there like 3 minutes after. And I was like, "That's crazy." Because had I would have been on time, I would have not been on time at all.
We would have been there 2 hours early.
That's wild. It does work that way sometimes, though.
Always.
It'd be like that.
Always. It does not matter. You were always on time.
Facts.
It does not matter. So, like, don't stress anything. Like, if you feel like you're late, you're not. You're on time.
Yeah. I don't stress it because, like, for me, like, if I'm already running late, I'm just like, I'm already late. I'm like, when I get there, you know? Like, even if it's work or something, like, if I know I hit traffic, I'm just like, yo, hit traffic, I'm gonna be there late.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do.
And that's it. Like, I'm just like, I'm not gonna stress it. Like, at that point, I'm just like, I'm not trying to rush.
Right.
But
There was another time where I was, it was like a film movie thing, and I had to drive like an hour and a half. No, it was like
That's
an
intense.
hour, but
Yeah.
in traffic, bro. I was in traffic for 3 hours.
oh,
And I was like debating myself the whole time. I was like, should I go? Should I not? Should I like just stop? Should I turn around? I ended up getting there, bro. They started filming 5 minutes after I got there. I was asking all these people, all these extras. I'm like, did they start filming? Like, what did I miss? And they're like, nothing. Like, we did. They were just setting up. Like, we
That's
are
wild.
just starting now.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy because I'm always on time, no matter what. Even if you're late, you're still on time because you weren't supposed to be there earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, bro.
And my thing is, like, I don't stress it because what if I left like 5 minutes earlier? There would have been like a mean ass accident or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
And I'm just like, just fuck, it just happened.
Facts.
And yeah, I think about that all the time. Just like, you know, it's funny because like when like growing up, I knew I was gonna be short. You know, like I'm not a tall
I
guy.
had that feeling.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, my parents are like 5'2". I'm just like, I'm not gonna be tall, you know. And all my friends were tall. Like that didn't help
That's
too.
crazy.
So I used to be self-conscious about that, but then I come to the conclusion, like I'm just like, you know what? In an earlier life, I traded my height for what I know now, and that's
knowledge. It compensates.
you know how like you have stats when you create a character and stuff. Like I was just like, you know what? I want to be smarter, so I'm gonna just sacrifice my height, and
Lower that
that's
a
what
little bit.
that's what I like to think.
That's what you've told yourself.
Yeah, I feel because no one. I feel like there's a balance. There has to be balance.
There has to.
No one's gonna have everything because if they have everything, they're probably like mentally unstable or something like that.
probably kill
Like it just
Facts.
it just doesn't make sense for me. So I
Facts.
feel like there's a balance with like everything, and that's my belief. And I'm just like I traded this for this. I'm just like that's what I did.
Like that's all you can do.
At least that's what I
You
tell
can just
myself.
trade
know?
things in.
Yeah, I was just like I would just trade it, like in my afterlife.
Literally.
What's it called?
It's recording.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
While I was walking upstairs, you guys were talking about school. And school, I don't know why, but that shit was like so easy for me.
It was hard for me.
Like you used to like try.
You know what it is? I found out my optimized like effort. Like I said, I'm all about optimization, and I'm all about like everything has to like maximum result for minimum effort.
Right.
And for me, getting more than an average grade was like it's like lowering my return on it, my return on like
You're so funny.
no, it's like a thing. It's like the law of depreciating fuck, I forgot what's it called. Something like that. Yeah, it's like the more effort it's like when you try maximum effort to get something, like if you would have tried like literally 50% less than that, the only difference would be like 10% or something like that. Like it's like for me to get a B was like minimum effort but for me to get an A was like I had to try twice as hard for just like a little difference.
Right.
And for me, it didn't make sense.
Right. I feel that. I definitely feel that.
It's like it's like the same thing with like if someone's trying to edit this podcast audio, like you just need it to be okay for it to make a difference, you know.
Right.
But if you're trying to make it like Grammy quality, like all that, no one's gonna really notice it.
Facts, but it's gonna take a lot more effort.
But it's gonna take a lot more effort, a lot more time. And for me, like that was school for me. I was like, if I try 50% of my effort to get like a B or a C, you know, anything more than that, I'm gonna have to try twice as hard for like such little difference.
But how twice as hard? Like, what do you mean longer?
Longer time studying, more like notes taking, like
Okay,
everything,
so you
more
used to
attention.
study
Yeah.
and take notes.
I would try. Well, no, I wouldn't. But I'm saying like if I did try to do that, I would only get like it'd be from like a B plus to like A minus,
Which is not that much.
which
of a
doesn't make
difference.
sense
Yeah, I
to
feel
me.
that.
And
I
that's
feel
me
that.
spending like 2 extra hours like studying because I don't really study. That's the thing. I didn't really do homework,
Same.
and that was like the biggest thing that dropped my grade. But if I would have done the homework and all that, then I would have gotten like an A. But that's also like hours and hours of my time, you know.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to do that shit.
For me, it was like kind of like a challenge. It was just like how fast and how effective can you get this work done? and I would just do like, I would not have any homework because I finished all of my work in that class period. Like literally, if I had less than like a 94 as a total grade, like I would be at their desk like, listen, what's wrong? Like, why is this way? I know that I got hundreds on everything, so like how is it even a 94? And I would call them out, and they would a lot of times like end up changing the grade because they're like, you know what, you're right. Like I just did that because, you know, like it wasn't exactly 100, but I'm like, how is it not exactly 100 if there's nothing wrong? So they'll be like, and then they'll end up like changing the grade.
That's crazy. That's stingy though.
It was like
I'd be mad as fuck with that too. That's the difference between passing and like failing, you know? Like it's like that doesn't make sense.
Bro.
I just hated school.
Yeah, me too, man. I have no idea where I went to college. I mean, I graduated, but like I have no idea where I went. I like the minimum to get like a GPA for like finance, because it's like one of the tougher business classes.
Right.
It's a 2.7. That's passing. That's a GPA. I was like at 2.8.
Minimum effort.
Yeah, I was like minimum effort for like maximum result. Anything.
But you
more
know what?
than
It pushed you towards like, did it push you more towards photography? Because in all essence, then that is worth it.
No, because I'll tell you why. Because photography is barely me. Photography and videography is barely me. That's just the surface of it. My idea with like Creator's Bloc and everything has to do with investing, but with art, and that makes sense. I think that's why I got into like investing and like doing all that, because for me, like investing into future opportunity was my number one.
Right.
And networking and everything has to do with all that.
Right.
And like I said, I could not do photography and videography. The last time I took a photo of like a photo shoot for anything, or even just went out shooting, was like months ago. It was months ago. Like that was the last time. Like when I went to the museum, prior to that, it was like months before that. And I don't feel that need because it doesn't define me.
Right.
And that's why I'm just like, it's okay. You know, like I could take my phone and I could still do better quality than most people because I know how to use my phone. And I know that's a tool. And my camera, once I figured that my camera is a tool and it doesn't define me, like I could use anything. It just opened up so many, like, it just opened up my perspective so much.
That's why like it is important to kind of like do multiple things, just because like one, it's good for the mind just to like give different perspectives, different options, different like sorts of things in your life, but also because you're not supposed to put like all your eggs in one basket type of thing. Like you're supposed to be able to like be translucent almost, and like just be able to like do multiple things. And so that is so powerful because like that will take you far as fuck. Like knowing like now our phones, like the quality is so fucking like in the iPhone 11, bro.
It's ridiculous.
That phone,
It's ridiculous.
the camera is insane. So like knowing that, and like it's kind of like becoming a little bit harder for photographers to like have a job all the time, because like people are just like, hey, take a picture for me, and it's like
it's
real like
evolve.
yeah, and it's wild. So like being able to foresee that and kind of like set up, you know, a stable source of income and source of like just creativity throughout is like really important.
Yeah, you have to, I think when I was watching documentaries like The Creative Mind, it's on Netflix, it brought up a very interesting point. Like anybody who's ever actually revolutionized anything in like an art field never stuck to just that one art field.
Facts.
If you think about like I like to bring up Leonardo da Vinci. Like what's he known for? Like what was that one thing he did?
Paint.
Yeah, he did Mona Lisa. He did painting. He invented like he did a bunch of inventions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
My first helicopter.
Yeah, like concept at least. And
yeah, it's insane.
You know what his problem was? That he would never finish.
yeah, and
he
but
would go all out for a little while and then go to something else.
but that's the curse of like being a creative. Like you know that you're only gonna get like 10% of your actual things out, because you're always just bamboozled by so many concepts and so many ideas from everywhere. But that's how you expand your mind. That's how creative actually expands, because they revolutionize a subject because they take perspectives from this subject, and this subject, and they focus on one thing.
But you know what? That's also a blessing and a curse, because like if you're doing 10% of this and you're doing 10% of this and you're doing 25%, you're like everywhere. So in all essence, you're nowhere. Like you're not doing anything if you're doing everything.
But and that's what I'm saying. Like you take a little bit of everything, but you have to know when enough's enough to focus on one thing,
right.
And then that's when you focus on that one thing. But if you want to revolutionize photography, you don't just stick to photography your whole entire life, because it doesn't make sense, because you're only looking at it as a photographer's perspective.
Right.
But if you look at it as an art, like as an artist, as a designer, as this and that, then you know what happens? You make fashion photography.
Right.
But if you only did photography, you would have just stuck to landscapes.
Right. different sorts of like, but if you think about it, like, okay, let's say you're a photographer, but you're also like inventing, and you're also doing like,
then you make camera equipment, then you
that'd
invent
be
a different
great,
type of,
but you would have a limited time to do each and everything. So when it comes down to just being an inventor, like there's going to be somebody that puts their all of their effort, all of their time into just inventing. And when it comes down to it, like I feel like the person that spends their all doing one thing could possibly excel, but I guess it just depends on passion and knowledge and just like the essence of like who you are and your being and what you're going to bring to the table.
And you know what my opinion with that is? It's the CEO opinion. When you're a CEO, you hire people better than you to focus on one vision.
Delegate.
Because if you try to do everything yourself, you're never going to get anywhere.
That's
you're
true.
Only gonna you get fast in one place, but then once you're there in the long run, a company is better than a small business.
No, yeah, facts. Like even when it comes to fashion, the thing that's kind of like, it's a little bit of a dilemma, because like I am limited to how much I can produce, how much I can make.
And in order to expand is delegating. So
Right.
you hire people better than you to design, better than you to do this, but on your vision.
Right? Like at some point I'm going to have to delegate all. And that's why like I was thinking about like manufactured stuff and wholesale stuff, because the way that works is that like I could be making sales and I could be sleeping. I could be, you know, out in Belgium and I could be making money because it's like working itself for me. The way I'm running it right now, being that I have to make everything myself.
You have to multiply your time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about inventors. Like they know that they have little concepts of everything, but once he invented the concept of like an airplane or something like that, he hires an engineer to make sure that works properly. He hires like a designer to make sure it designs properly.
Right.
But he already has the concept.
Right.
So 10% of everything, then you get other people to do the rest of the percentage, then all of that's yours.
Right.
And that's the idea. That's why I feel like that's how people revolutionize stuff, because they know that they can't do everything. Because it's impossible for him to understand it. Because to build the airplane, you have to understand engineering, design,
Mechanics,
physics,
like,
all that.
all of
it's
that.
like one person can't take all that schooling there in life, but they can, but they'll spend their whole time just to do that one thing.
Right.
While he just came up with the concept. He's like, all right, I need somebody better than me to do that. Because some people are creative, some people are logical, and some people have a vision. And when you're creative, you're very good at creating stuff, right? You're very good at that. But sometimes you don't have a vision. There's no purpose behind it. You're just
Right.
making. But when you have a purpose and a vision, you're making for something. Like you're making something for like an airplane or something like that.
Right.
When you understand how things work, then you just understand how they work, but there's no purpose. Like you just like, I get how gravity works, but what do you do with that? The creative is what brings in like, yo, you know, you could do this. You could make gravity work this way. It's like, all right, that's cool. Okay, but like the vision is like, you can make gravity work this way for this reason.
Right.
And that's what everything has to do together. That's why everybody has to sink in with each other.
That's facts. Everybody has like a purpose. Everybody has something that they could bring to the table.
But yeah, all it is like knowing who you are. And that's what I mean. Like when as a creative, when you're trying to develop something, revolutionize something, you just need help.
Facts. I'm getting to that point where like I realize that like in order to expand, I'm definitely gonna have to like delegate, automate, and like do all of that just so that I have things like working, because that's how a business owner runs. A business owner is barely ever like working.
They just focus the vision.
Yeah. They just like make sure shit is running, and then that's it. Then they have managers put in place that look over other things, and then like it's all part of the process.
Hire people better than you. That's all.
Yeah. Because
That's
if you
crazy.
were to do everything, you wouldn't have any time to like,
Nothing. You couldn't do anything.
yeah, or reap the rewards of anything, or like, you know, what's the point of making like so much money if you can't see the world with it, if you can't help others with it, if you can't like, if you're just all day working on the back end of it? They don't do it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think that's like super fascinating. That has to do with someone who has a vision, but they're not good at whatever it is they're doing. Because for me, I'm not going to be the greatest photographer or the greatest filmmaker. I 100% know that. Because it's not in me though. It's not. There's a lot of people that are working way harder than me, that are way better than me and all that. But I have a vision, and you know what? Honestly, I'd be friends with the person that's better than me, and I'd probably hire them to go to my vision.
No, yeah, that's the way. I mean, they always say to not be the smartest person in the room. You always want to have people that you can learn from and things that you can excel and just level up. Always. So that would be like the smartest option for you, to just surround yourself with people that you feel as though are better than you, which is all perspective, but that's another story. And then just kind of like learn from them and take on what you like and take on what you don't like, and just kind of like.
Yeah, it's expansion. I think my biggest thing is being expansion, because I don't like sticking to one thing, and I've always known that.
Same.
So that's my number one thing. I like expanding. I like knowing a little bit about everything instead of being like one thing, because that one thing I'm so limited to what I can do with that one thing.
Facts.
But other people like that. Other people want to be that one thing. Like, I'm the go-to guy for this, and that's great because people need that.
Yeah, I mean they do, and they're gonna like, a lot of times people are gonna trust that person that does their all with, like, for instance, pancakes. Okay. Pancakes, you're gonna go to a Waffle House, or you're gonna go to like IHOP or something that's like into pancakes. But if you just go to like a regular like burger spot and then they also have pancakes, you know, like it would be a different sort of thing. So that's very, very important.
That's true. In your creative field, what do you like to actually portray? Is it a form of expression, or you have a message behind it?
It's definitely a form of expression and just love and light, and kind of accepting yourself for who you are and embracing it, because there's not another one of you. So that is something that I like so much with clothes too, is because like it's important to kind of like stand out in your own essence. Sometimes there's like it does a disjustice to not only yourself, not only to everybody else in the world, but the entire universe itself, if you don't live up to your potential and kind of just like, you know, spread love, talk to people, experience life, experience different things, put yourself in a different perspective. Something my mom told me last week, she was like, if you always go right, go left. And I was like, that's so interesting, because people live their whole lives like living the same exact day. Hop up, go to work, come home from work, be tired, eat, go back to sleep, do the same exact thing every day. That's, I feel, not good for our minds, not good for our like vision of life. I feel like life, there's so much more than what like society tells you there is.
Yeah, it really does depend on how people want to be happy, because a lot of people find that like the dream, you know, and that's the dream because that's how they feel happy. Yeah. No, but like honestly, like if people accept that life and they like it, then there's no reason to change it.
A lot of them don't, though. That's the crazy
that's
thing.
The different part. That a lot of people don't, but they don't do anything to change it. Like, they come home and complain. But if you come home to be happy, because what if you have a family and you want to spend as much time with your family? You have a great job that gives you great benefits to protect your family. It's like, what else is it to complain about? They have no ambitions because they don't want to, like, not ambitions, but like as in like they want to dedicate their life just to raise their kids.
Right, but in that essence, like, are you even like fully raising your kids? Your kids are in school all day. They're in daycare after. You're not getting home till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and like
those are some people. That's if the life they choose. But if they do what they love already, like if they're, say I want to be just a photographer, if I'm doing photo shoots all day, I come home at a certain time. I spend time with my kids as much as I can, and the place I'm working for pays me a very high salary. I could still invest. I could still do everything.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good, you know, the best kind of outcome of life.
And some people don't like that, though. Some people want to be almost like unstable in a good way.
People find comfort in discomfort. I feel like some people find comfort in discomfort because it's something to like blame it on. It's not putting the full responsibility on yourself to like make the life that you want, to go after the things that you want. They just kind of like embrace that sort of fear or that sort of like risk, or they embrace the stories that don't work out the best. So it kind of makes them feel okay with not risking everything and living up to the life that they want. Because a lot of times, like, the people that are working 9 to 5s, they're not happy.
A lot of them are. I've definitely met a few people that are just like extremely happy on their situation, and that makes sense because they don't want to change the world. They want to help the person changing the world, but changing the world it's a different responsibility because you're literally sacrificing so much.
Oh yeah.
And for the amount of sacrifice to the outcome, it literally doesn't make sense. Like, if you really think about it, like as a return on investment, like it doesn't make sense. Like, you sacrifice this much time just to do this one thing, but for you that was worth it. That's what makes it worth it.
Right.
But to other people, like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's like for skating, I used to try like 2 hours just to do one trick. It's like, why would you spend 2 hours just for a 3-second clip? in like a. And
yeah,
like just
because it was to you, it was worth
yeah,
it.
It doesn't make sense. But to me, it was worth it because I had fun doing it.
Right.
I had fun doing all that. But to other people, it's just like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
But,
I mean, that's what comes down to like
Yeah.
all matter of perspective and just
Yeah.
like your intentions, because you had the intention to make that video, to
Yeah.
enjoy it, to have fun making it, while others, they don't have the
Yeah,
same
it doesn't make sense to them.
passion.
But that is true. Like perspective, and that's the happiness behind it. And that's why I think that's interesting when people like have like already reached their happiness at such an early age, because they truly are happy.
Right.
And that's so lucky for them to go through that, because those people are actually happy. Like there's people that they don't complain, they're actually happy. Like their dream is the 9 to 5 because they don't want to take responsibility for all that. They have nothing
Right.
to complain about because their bosses and everybody's cool as hell.
Right.
Because imagine you having a company, wouldn't you want to have the best like company out there?
Absolutely.
So people working for you, that literally means they're working a 9 to 5 for you, but they're happy about it because you keep them happy.
As long as they're happy. But I feel like when it comes down to happiness, it's far from luck, and more so as the decisions that you make every second of every day, and what you decide to let bother you, what you decide to let go, what you decide to see the bright side of things, and the opposite. You know, it's I feel like, because there's some days where it's mad easy to just see the bright side of everything, but there are some days where, like, I swear it's literally in the stars. Like, if I'm feeling a certain way and I'll call my mom, she's feeling a similar way, and then like other people are like, it's weird, and it's like a constant responsibility to yourself and to your perspective on life to just see what you want to see. And once you have that responsibility and you know that that is the case, it becomes a lot easier to be happy, because it's like I can choose to be happy or I can choose not to be. It's that simple. Some people don't see it that way, but those people that are happy at their 9 to 5s, I think that's so beautiful, because like,
Yeah, it's so crazy.
and that's so much power that they're like putting on, you know, because it takes a lot to just be happy no matter what, you know. And especially when you know a lot of things too. Like, that's why I feel like creatives rarely ever go towards that 9 to 5 area, because ignorance is bliss, and because creatives, I feel like, know so much about, and that's, you know, nothing is absolute, so
Yeah.
there's a balance to that. There's some creatives that do, there's some creatives that don't, but I feel like a lot of them, they get so caught up with like their best life and how they want to live, and they just start going towards that. So for a lot of creatives, like 9 to 5s just don't work, and some they do, you know, some they could use that as like a push to go more towards their creative. But for me, 9 to 5 does not work, like, at all.
I feel like when you're creative, you're not a visionary as much. Like there's a balance behind that. Not all creatives are visionaries, because
true.
when you're creative, you just create. When you're a visionary, you barely create. You have a vision,
Right.
and that's I think those two are very different. And once you figure out which one you are, you go towards that.
I feel like I'm both, honestly. I feel like I'm both. And I feel like that's okay, because like there are so many like we just said, there's so many perspectives on life. So as long as like you are happy with how you're living, with the direction that you're going, with the decisions that you're making, with the thoughts that you have in your mind, like that's really all that matters at the end of the day.
What are your actual end goals? Like where do you see yourself then?
I see myself as a successful creative that also, like, I see myself having a business. I see myself having some sort of a business, because I do have the organization skills, and I feel like I can see it definitely happening. But I also want so much for life, as far as to help others, to travel the world, to see the world while it's here, because there's crazy ass shit that's happening, okay? But like, I've never seen Australia, you know? So before it all burns down, like, I want to see it. But in order to get there,
right now.
literally, I would. That's the crazy part. And it's like, money in a sense is freedom. So like, being that I know this, being that I'm so young and I have this knowledge, it would be a disjustice to myself and to everything to not follow that. And so I don't know what the business is going to be per se just yet, but I'm definitely working towards like being that, like being an owner, not even a manager, not a boss, like the owner, surpassing all of that and just like kind of having a business run itself.
Okay, that makes sense. What inspires you in general?
Art, life, different mindsets, different aspects of life. Like everything inspires me. People inspire me. And just like how much more to life there is that I haven't seen, that inspires the shit out of me, because like it's so insane. Like there's so many beautiful things in life that we don't know. And like you don't know what you don't know either. You know?
That's crazy.
So it's like, so, and like knowing all of that, that is what pushes me, because I know that like as a being, like I spread love to everything and everyone. And even like the last event I had, there was this woman that came up to me and she was like, I have a business, like I have a business idea, but like I haven't had the courage to start it. I haven't had the courage to, you know, like get going and do what I know that I need to do. And I had this whole, like at this event, there's people looking through my clothes. I need to be talking to them. But I was so into this one lady, just like giving her that courage, giving her that motivation that she needed. And
yeah.
It's insane. And like she actually walked out and she was like, thank you so much. Like, thank you so much. You pushed me to finally start. I've had this idea for 2 years. Like just that little thing, and how much life I have seen, you know, I don't know. I feel like I have a purpose to help others, but all over. And I just can't shake that feeling. So I'm just like moving towards whatever that is and just letting like my intuition and my intentions kind of guide me.
When people have like the purpose to like help others, that's it's almost like you wake up and there's no reason to not have a purpose. But what's your personal like purpose for yourself? Because there's always like a selfish why in a sense, and like if making people feel good like makes you feel important, like that's almost like that's like the example. Like for me, I think what I'm meant to do is to like almost inspire and in a sense like revolutionize, because I've always thought myself as like I have a great mind. Even as a kid, I don't know why, like I've always told myself that. So like I've always been like, it's a shame for me to hold back what I know, and that's what drives me. Like it's a shame for me to hold back my mental state. It's a shame for me to hold back my potential,
right?
And that's my selfish, like I want to be known as like the person who like inspired and helped people in that sense, because for me like I like having that legacy.
So that's your selfish why.
My selfish why is leaving a legacy, because I think it's a shame for me not to.
I feel like as far as like a selfish why, I don't know, because like yeah, I mean I guess it would be cool to be that person that like is known for helping others, but that's not really what drives me. I feel like that low key, that kind of like it's like the universe speaking through me to all of these beings and kind of motivating them and helping them. Like there have been so many times where I've helped others and I didn't run and tell somebody about it, and that is so beautiful to me. And that's what I like try to do even more, is like when you do something good, it's not about bragging about it, it's not about any of that, it's just about the fact that you did that and that's it, and just letting it into the universe. There's so many things, like even when I went to Morocco, so many times of so many different people that I've touched or helped or like gave something to, but like nobody knew. And there was like months after, my friend was like, I saw like that one time you gave food to that little boy, like I saw it, and like I didn't tell her about it. She was the only person I could speak to in English in the entire country, and like I didn't tell her about it, and she saw it, and it was that kind of thing that kind of like pushed me, because after she saw that, months later she did something kind, and she was like, the reason why I actually did that was because I saw you all those months ago in Morocco, and that was so beautiful to me. So it's things like that. It's like kind of moving far away from ego and all of that, and just
I think about that too, and I'm just like I feel like I want that, but then there's no reason for me to like listen to people's stories and let them express themselves towards me, because in general like not a lot of people actually hear my side of my perspective, because I tend to ask more questions. Like even me just having a podcast, like I give my perspective like in parts, but I'm hosting it so I could have other people's perspectives,
right?
And I like listening to that because people naturally just like to talk.
So are you going to do a podcast like with you? You should.
Maybe.
Yeah, facts. Like I'll ask you questions.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That, I like listening to people because I know there's a weight behind that.
Right.
I've learned to personally cope with my weight like as in like if I need to tell something, I've learned to express it, which is how I found like the art field, because I've always thought it was logical.
Right.
And then that's how I found out that I'm like, I could express it that way. Everyone goes through the same emotions. It's just a form of expression. That's what people struggle in. Some people are out loud with it,
That's
which
true.
is good. You know, like you're expressing, like, you know, they're happy. It's like, I'm happy as hell. Like, you know, this is all, but that's not me.
Right.
And if they were sad, they literally, you could tell they're sad.
Right.
But for me, that's not me either. It's like, I'm very like balanced in that sense. But because of that, no one knows what's going on.
Right.
But
Mysterious.
in that sense, like I cope with it though. I'm not struggling with it because I express it somehow.
Right.
If I'm angry, I make sure to be extra nice to the person that I'm countering and stuff, because I know I'm angry about something,
That's so nice.
and that's how I channel it. That's my way of channeling it.
that kind of probably like definitely has a really good like karmic cycle, because if you're kind to others will be kind to you in a sense. So if you're like being kind even when you're the most angry, like you're probably get a lot of kind people back.
I try. I
Yeah.
honestly try. All right, I'm gonna stop it.
This is so cool. I feel like there's so many like different aspects that I could just go off about.
Yeah, and
It's
it's so
wild.
hard to focus.
Yeah.
But like I like that though. I like keeping it long because in general you just break it apart, and then
Yeah.
honestly it's just content in itself.
It really is. And it's just like,
Because I don't expect people to sit through the 2 hours that normally the podcast lasts. But
yeah.
my expectation is just like,
Some people
next-
do though.
no, some people
Like while
do.
they're driving.
Because I do that.
Yeah.
But my perspective is like I think about it throughout the whole year. I'll share that, and then in 10 years, knowing like how much success you built, how much success Josh has built, Antonio, I was literally there in the beginning.
I think
You know?
about that shit all the time, and it's so crazy.
And
Dude,
It's like-
you literally like brought us together.
Bro, yeah, that too. But it's so crazy because, like, I think the same way that you're saying, like, when I see you, like, when we were at AWA, I saw you, and I saw you 20 years down the line. I'm like, yo, this kid's gonna be successful as fuck. Oscar, same thing, and it's just like I have this weird thing where I can see people's success as long as they can, like,
Yeah.
you know, follow
Just
up with
deliver.
it. And she tells me all the time, she's like, yes, you could see it, but it's all up to that person at the end of the day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
100%.
It's
And that's the
so
whole Destiny's thing. That's
no, but you know what? It's so important because like I had to learn this like growing up, that like people are not their potential. Even though they have the potential to be the greatest person in the world, it matters what they're fucking doing. So like even though people could have all the potential in the world, everybody had potential at that studio. Like it's up to those people and their decisions every single day, all day, that decide whether or not they're gonna live up to it.
And that's my thing. My thing is like I would feel ashamed knowing that I didn't show what I can do.
Right.
And that's what drives me. Like I'm ashamed that like if I like before I die, like in the next I don't know 80 years or some shit like that, I'm gonna be so upset that I didn't give out in the world as much as I could have. Because
But
it's like when you have so much money, there's no way for you to spend it. So you have an abundance of that. So you have to share it because you just have
Yeah.
an abundance of it. Like if you die with all this knowledge, if Leonardo da Vinci died without sharing what he knew, it's such a fucking shame.
Yeah, and it would have been a disjustice to everybody.
To everybody, yeah, not just that person. It just would have
Yeah.
been disjustice to everyone.
But see, that is your knowledge, right? So ignorance, in a sense, is bliss because you have this sort of responsibility
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
have to share everything and you have to get everything documented, which is also really beautiful because if like fucking 2012 went down, right? they're gonna find those like fossil kind of things
Yeah.
that are fucking old tapes or sketchbooks or things just that humans created, you know, to describe what life was like at this time period. I think about that all the time because whatever we're doing, like in some essence, hopefully, like whatever happens down the line, there's still documentations, there's still something. Like we're just literally a human experience.
Like imagine somebody deep as fuck into the future comes back and sees a MacBook for the first time. Like
Yeah.
they're like, wow, these people used to type on plastic.
That's
Yeah, and they're like
wild,
lifting
yo.
it up, like what the fuck is this?
My thing is like the most important thing in like humans to do is pass down history because that's knowledge, that's experience, that's everything, you know, that's wisdom, that's
Facts.
everything. That's literally everything. Everything we know now is because we knew back then. Like the wheel has already been invented. There's no reason for you to figure all that out by yourself.
Right.
That's how society moves forward.
Right.
Because there's a share of knowledge.
You know, they figured out that when cavemen discovered the wheel, not discovered, I mean, well,
They just were like, what the?
happened.
And they're still looking up fossils. They're still looking in caves to find like etchings and drawings. And it's crazy because that is just like a form of art, and that's what they were doing with their creative experience. So it is so important to share, because that is in essence like the whole part of life, is to just like go throughout your experience, but also share everything you learn and just keep going.
That's why my purpose was for Creator's Block, because I think my purpose is to be able to document that and build the next great person.
That's beautiful.
That was what I was built around.
What hit me just now is the name Creator's Block. It's cool because like a lot of people, yeah, like a lot of people go through that creator's block. That's like they can't think of anything, and that
It's okay.
hello, and that brand is kind of like getting past that and just like pushing people to just.
I literally had a creator's block of my life. That's why I made that name.
That's like embracing the creative, and then even that in essence is pushing you to do something. Like it's needed. That's another thing that goes into like you're always on time. That little creator's block was what gave you the bright idea for the next project that you're gonna have. So everything is needed.
Yeah, everything just makes sense. Everything, like, as long as you funnel it. But I feel like, obviously, like how you said, money is freedom.
It is
for now. So you do need to make money. So that's why I want to make it a business out of that. Because naturally, this is what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
I wanted to be sure I was friends with the greatest people, because there's no reason for me to get to like to try to reach Kanye and stuff like that and be like, yo, I want to be friends with you, because that's not gonna happen. It could happen, but the most valuable thing, I hate to call it Jamie Foxx effect. So this is why. So Jamie Foxx, when he was growing up, like as a comedian, he's a little older than everybody, right?
How old is he?
I don't know, like 50, something like that.
What?
Yeah, like late 40s, 50.
Wow.
So he was a comedian, and he still is a comedian, but he used to host a lot of parties in LA. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to get into the music industry. So he used to have like theme parties, like as in like this day was like, for music people. So all these young people would come in, and the people that came to his party, it was fucking Chris Brown, Kanye, Jay-Z, and Pharrell.
What?
And these people, they came into his party, and he was just like, yo, what's up? Like, how you are? And they were like all shy. Nobody knew who they were. And those are the people that came to his party and befriended them, and that's why he's cool with them.
That's crazy.
And that's what I want. I'm just like, that's crazy, because obviously no one wants to put in the time, because now that's when he could share the success.
Right.
But I've always thought that networking is so important.
It is.
And to make a business out of the networking collective in that sense, that just makes sense for me.
Facts. That's crazy. But you know what? Like, maybe one day you will befriend, Kanye and all that shit, but they're just like us. They're literally just
and that's exactly how I am. I'm just, when I used to skate, I met like Ryan Sheckler, P-Rod, and all those people, like all these famous like top people.
Ryan Sheckler?
Do you know Ryan Sheckler?
I know, like, that's one of the Oling person I know.
Yeah, I met him because we used to, like, I used to go to all the skate competitions. He was doing a signing at CCS, like back when it was in the mall.
Oh shit.
So I met all of them. I had a signature of Lizard King, all those people and stuff. Yeah, I met everybody. Like I said, Paul Rodriguez, everyone that you can imagine. Like, and that shirt got burned down in the fire, actually, when my house burned down.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and I was kind of upset about that. I was like, fuck. But no, when I met them, like I was like a big ass fan of Ryan Sheckler. But when I met him, I was like, this is me in a different universe.
Yeah, literally, that's you.
It gets so fucking trippy at that point.
Yeah, and I was just like, that's crazy. And I'm like, then I knew. I was just like, I know what I have to do. Like, I know I have a bigger purpose in this thing,
Right.
Well, I know I can, at least.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, my thing was to befriend as many people as possible, because I know one of them is going to be great, and I want to be part of either that or vice versa.
So here's a question. Does, like, when you say great, do you mean successful? Do you mean great by being successful? Can someone be great? By successful, is it like successful as in, with their businesses and form of like financial, or is it like more of like a celebrity?
Impact.
I feel like that's one of like the most priceless things about being, famous or a celebrity, is that platform that you have. And if you're using it in the right way, spreading love, motivating people, doing things like that, like that shit is so beautiful.
I want to cause an impact, and I want to be part of people that are going to cause impacts, because that's how you upscale the world.
Yeah.
That's how everything works.
Facts.
That's how you revolutionize and make it better.
Facts.
Just impacting. Like money, like I said, what do you want money? You want money for experiences, for like freedom of housing and everything like that. If I'm friends with everybody as much as I can, I could live for free because, I'm staying at a friend's place. I could travel because maybe
That's
I
true.
own part of the company or something like that. So that all just works out,
That's true.
And that's why you want money. Like I could have $0, but if everything's covered, like I got food because of this. I got traveling because of this. I got a house because of this. Like it was a gift or something like that.
They say
And it just works.
don't be the person that owns the boat. Be the person with the friend that has the boat.
Yeah, it just works.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I could literally do everything I can if I'm befriended with everybody.
That's
So
facts.
I never had problems with anybody. Like I never had like an enemy. I never had like any issues. There was just one time like I had this, like I've been into one fight in my life.
Like a fist fight.
Oh, like 5th grade.
Elvis. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's mad funny. But it wasn't like two. It was barely a fight, but it was like.
You had the hair?
No, that was before that hair. It was
Damn.
like that.
That's back in the day.
That was back in the day. It was back in my
Wow.
soccer days. It was this kid that was trying to bully me in soccer, and I was like, "Fuck it," and I just punched him in the face.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I got mad, and then that was the only time. Like I've never been angry though. Like I was just like, "Yo, this is getting kind of annoying." I was just like, he was taller than me, so I was just like, I missed too.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't seem like an angry person at all.
Okay, I've never gotten angry like that. Like that just it's not me.
So you channel it.
I channel it because I know angry is an emotion. You have to experience it. Like when people are upset, it's not like you can't be like not be upset. Does that make sense? Right. You just have to channel it.
Right. You have to like put it towards
Yeah,
something
you just have
else.
to channel it. Like,
But also like anger is at some point a decision. It's whether you want to be angry still or whether they say anger is an acid that does more harm to the body in which it is stored than whatever it's projected onto. So anger is going to hurt you so much more by just holding it in, bottling it in, doing things like that, as far as just like letting it out, expressing it, channeling it, doing whatever you can.
same thing with happiness. When you're way too happy, you become ungrateful because you don't know what sadness is. But if you know what that feeling is, then you're able to make sure you're happy all the time because it's a choice at that point. And it's like when you feel better after you cry. That always happens.
That's true.
But
like a chemical effect.
But you have to let it happen. You can't just be like, no crying ever in my life. Doesn't make sense.
No.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, that's who I was. I would not allow myself. Like I'm like crying is for girls.
Yeah.
Like literally like no offense. Like I know if obviously.
You dated people before me? What the hell?
So it's like, I would only cry and it would explode it was just like I would break down and it would just be insane as fuck. So it would be like one big turmoil of just and it's all emotions.
But you gotta express it. Now you figured out how to express it without it.
Precisely, and it's just like if you're gonna cry, just cry.
Yeah, just cry. Just like don't hold it back. When people say like good vibes only, like yeah, it's good, but like honestly, if you experience bad vibes, does that mean you're out of control? Like that doesn't make sense.
I feel like the thing about positivity, because like some people, and it's crazy, but like some people that are like, I don't know, less woke, I would say.
Woke, yeah.
Some people like when it comes to like being positive, they're like, oh, like they're just being fake positive, or like they say things about positivity. But to me, I think positivity is not always being in a good mood. That's not like, that's unrealistic.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah,
It doesn't. But positivity is being able to transform and go through those bad experiences and still see a good outcome, still see a positive side.
The
to things.
solution.
Yeah, and it's choosing.
Yeah, positivity is just having a solution. That doesn't mean you don't get upset. That doesn't mean you don't get angry. That doesn't mean anything. It just means you have a solution to after that. It just means like there's no end. There's not just an end once you get sad.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
I forget that people don't realize that, and that's why they're just like, I don't want to be around like sad people. I don't want to ever get upset. I'm like, you're fucked because like that sucks.
Yeah.
'Cause
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, because that means like your control of your emotions is so limited because you have to surround yourself by only happy people,
Right.
and you want to stay away from anything upsetting.
And happy people, like that's
It's just
few
weird.
and far
It's
between,
weird.
because there's
It's-
no
yeah, it's-
happy, like happy people still have to go through things.
Or in a mood that someone's always happy. Like it's just like, oh, someone's sad, I'm gonna get away from them. Like, nah, that doesn't make sense. Like you're
Yeah.
just messing. You're just like you're being an asshole now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Facts. And
Yeah.
then also it won't do any good for you as well, because you need to learn how to like
Yeah,
kind
you
of
need-
balance that. And also like I feel like so many people nowadays are like empaths. They feel so much about energy and
It's good.
vibes and all these things, which is great. But like having that sort of power is also something that you have to like be aware of. You have to know when to put that bubble. You have to know when to not let things bother you, because like a lot of times, like sometimes I'll feel a way, I'll feel like anxiety or something like that, and I'm like, wait, who am I around right now, and like how many other people, like what are they feeling? Because a lot of times I end up feeling things that are not genuinely mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're surrounded with a whole bunch of angry people, an hour or two into it, you're gonna be like, damn, like you're gonna have this sort of like edge, this sort of energy that's like you could easily decide to be angry as well.
Unless you figure out how to like how you said, block it.
Yeah, block it, channel it, do whatever, realize what it is, and like realize it for what it is as it is, and be like, okay, well, this is just an energy. This is just, you know, what's happening. This is just tension right now. I can easily, knowing that it's there, block it, or I can easily transform it. Or then at that point, if you do realize that it's affecting you completely, get the fuck out of there, you know, like go outside, get some air, like, and also like, I don't know, but spiritually, your aura goes out 15 feet all around you. So like when you are around so many people, it's so important to check yourself and just make sure that your feelings are like genuine, and that you're like also, because you're always in charge of your feelings. So just deciding, okay, this is how I feel right now, even going into an event or going into a party or going into anything like that, and just like kind of centering yourself.
And a good state of mind.
Yeah. And knowing where you're at, because if you're feeling good and you're walking into the party, you know that that is how you feel. So you can, you know, bring that back whenever anything starts to go awry, or like...
That's your standard at that point.
Yeah.
All right. I actually want to go over who are your influences.
Who are my influences?
Yes. Or what are your influences?
What are my influences?
Or who?
Influences as in like something that inspires me?
Yeah.
Do they have to be like people?
It could be cartoons.
Cartoons.
Nah, yeah, cartoons have a vibe, man.
What influences me? Like, I don't know how this sounds, but I feel like what really influences me is myself. Like, looking back, like, I feel like I'm the only person that like really just challenges myself. And I just got to this realization that like there's nobody else to make proud. It is literally just myself. I'm the worst, like the most hard critic on myself. Sometimes I don't even like like the other day, or it wasn't the other day, it was like maybe 2 weeks ago. Okay. I was looking through my like basement, and I was kind of like just decluttering and like looking through things. And I found like the pass for the Art Expo.
It's recording, right? Okay. Yeah.
I found the pass for the Art Expo. I found my my bachelor's degree ticket, and like I just found all these things, and I was like, damn, I did this all in the last year. Like, that's crazy. And I haven't let myself kind of like enjoy it, so I had to take some time to like, you know, really just celebrate. But like, it's wild. So getting to that, I feel like just me and my past self and how far I've come, and just like different like paths that I've taken, like that is what influences me so much, to like just the power of my own mind and like what I intend to happen, what I manifest. Shit is crazy. So I feel like is
when you're telling your story, it's so powerful.
Really?
Like I think in general, like it's just cool to know like your different background. And then I think what influences me too is like just reflecting.
Yeah. It really is. And it's so important too, because you have to sometimes know the past before you know where you're going in the future.
And then it makes sense. Yeah. Everything makes sense. The bigger picture.
Facts. And I feel like especially with this whole age of social media, it's crazy, but like how it makes you feel like after you're on for a certain time, like, or like, honestly, I'm not even kidding, like people that I see that are on their phones like more often during the day, they're more inclined to like road rage, they're more inclined to like loss of patience. And I like see these things, and so that's why with that question, it's so important that I said myself, because like I don't any longer like, yeah, Instagram and all these things they're important, especially like sharing yourself and your knowledge. But as far as like delving into it and putting so much time and energy every day into like other people and other lives and TVs and characters and all this shit, it's like people rarely ever put all of their energy and all of their power into themselves. So that's one thing that I'm like, as a resolution, whatever you want to call it, like that's one thing I'm doing more, is like spending less time like putting energy towards, whether it's celebrities, whether it's like drama, like all that shit, not for me. I don't want to put any energy to that. I want to channel all that energy into myself, to my craft, into my passions, and that's it.
That's the most powerful thing. Telling your own story is so important, and I think if people do that way more often, it just doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
Because for me, they could compliment me as much as I can, as much as they want. Like, say I release something, but honestly, to me, it doesn't matter. And that's why negative feedback doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Because negative feedback can't matter to you, but at the same time, the opposite has to happen. Positive feedback can't matter to you too.
Right.
You appreciate it, but it just doesn't matter.
It's all the value that you kind of put it for. Like, it's all that.
It just doesn't influence me. It's like, oh, I love your photography, everything like that. That's cool. It's like, all right, that's cool. I'm gonna get into video. It's like, yo, your video's cool. Okay, let's come and do a podcast. Like, it doesn't matter to me. It just doesn't sway me because opinions like that doesn't matter.
And that's so powerful because a lot of people are so easily swayed.
Yeah, so that's why, like, when I hear like, oh, like, I don't know how to do this because I want to do this, but like, you know, people like this, I'm like, I can't believe that's a thing.
Right.
Like, I can't believe it's an actual decision because how is that affecting you? They don't know you.
Right. And that's what, like, another thing, like, people with fame and with this platform, like, people don't realize it, but they have such a responsibility to share everything at all times. Even the parts that they don't want, shit with their breakups and, like, crazy shit. Like, they have a responsibility to give, like, these people, these like, millions of, like, followers or fans or platforms.
They do let it happen, though. I mean, if you think about Gary Vee, he's pretty popular. I don't know anything about his family.
He's the bomb, and he's a different type of being. I would feel because
But
he's
that
completely
just makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why he's gotten so far is because I feel like he's borderline like he doesn't give a fuck, and that's like there's so much power in that. There's so much.
Because he talks about that. He's just like, I put out content every single day. Like, you know, everybody knows like what I want them to know, but they don't know anything about my daughters, like, or my kids. They don't know anything about my wife or anything like that. It's like, it's true. You don't know anything about them. But other people get exposed to that because they almost let it happen.
Exactly. And like, he is a perfect example. He doesn't spend time of his day like looking through like Facebook and Instagram and all. He doesn't do that shit. He makes his content, he shares with the world, but he doesn't really put a lot of time and energy into other beings and like because he doesn't care.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's wild.
In a good sense.
And that's why I feel like celebrities or people like that are so good with just getting up there is because they put all of their energy into themselves. They have a whole bunch of other people putting their energy into them. They like it's just like feeding.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Like YouTube makers, like YouTube videos, they spend their time making YouTube videos, not watching it and stuff. Like they're just doing that.
Facts.
Right? Like it's almost just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Facts. That's why with me, like I've been so like I try not to put anything like or really spend much time on Instagram or any of those things, and just
put out instead of like thinking about it.
Exactly, that's it. I'm not like looking at what other people have been. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not going to get me anywhere. It's not going to like do anything for me. So why the hell am I, like, it doesn't make sense. So that is one thing that I'm definitely doing this year is just like putting so much more energy towards me. Anytime that I try and like, or I start to overthink or just drift or anything, just bring it back. Just make action, stay out of the mind as much as you can, because like we're always in our mind, and it's important, as far as manifesting, getting your intentions. Yeah, it's a balance, but like also action is so important. Action. And that's what one thing I feel like social media has done is like take out action so much. There's so many people. I mean, it's a balance because there's people that make the shit for Instagram.
But back then, if it wasn't social media, it would have been like a book.
Yeah.
Or it would have been just people laying down.
Or people playing. Or people like chilling or going out or like.
Yeah. I feel it's the same difference because like when you're on the bus, like you see people like on their phone and stuff like that. But like if it was back then, it would have been a book. It would have been a newspaper.
Right. People would have been doing something different. I went to a video shoot and there was like a whole bunch of people. They were all on their phones. Yeah. Like literally it was crazy. And I was like, damn, like that's wild. Like we've shifted. It put me in through this whole perspective. I was like, damn, like from everything that we've been through from Earth, we were fucking going for warmth and shit. And now we're like here, like just like on these. It's crazy. And then I had to like start talking to them and bring them out. And eventually like all of them got off their phones, most of them, and like started talking. But it was a huge ass effort to do that. And
I feel like it's just a whole thing socially that we don't know how to communicate.
It's always been a thing though. Like people who don't want to communicate and people who don't prioritize, and that's always been a thing. Like it's if I went on a date with like my girlfriend, right? I mean, when I go on a date with my girlfriend, I barely look at my phone. But if I was bored with her, and I didn't have a phone, like if this was prior phones, we would have just been sitting there like. Just awkwardly. Yeah.
I mean, there's always like But maybe.
I don't think it would force. You would force a fake convo. That's what would happen. You wouldn't force like a convo to get to know each other. You would force a fake convo that you're actually
convo?
Like you're actually like thinking you're actually interested in her, but you ask her questions, but you just kind of like sit there not paying attention. Because for me, like I'm saying, like we both have our phones, and when we're together, I don't even look at it. We don't even look at it.
That's good.
And that's with the option of having a phone. So it has nothing to do with the phone being there. It's just like naturally we're actually into each other.
Right, but that's what you choose to do with the phone. Not everybody is like that. Like some people like
and that's what I mean. It has nothing to do with the phone. It's like back then it was the same thing. They were just awkward.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know, they're just there.
But this makes it so much easier to just be like literally you could go on and be watching things from like across the world, which is so cool. Like there's so many cool aspects of it. But like if you spend all your time just like looking at shit, it's not really going to get you anywhere. It's not going to push you to reach your goals. Like it's not going to do anything as far as like you have to just put action into it.
It literally just magnifies whatever your original intention was.
Right. And then like that starts to transform as well.
That's cool. It's cool though, because it's like when people think that money brings you like turns people evil. It's just like honestly they were probably bad in the first place. They probably had evil intentions.
I love this.
But they just had money and now they have power. And now it shows their true colors.
No, yeah, 100%. And like that's one thing about money, because they always say like money is the root of all evil, but it's not.
Yeah,
like
it's just evil.
Money is like freedom. Like there are so many beautiful, good things that you can do with money. Help people, build schools in other countries that need it, give people like food or shelter. There's so many beautiful things, but it's what you decide to do with it. Like our country and just the entire world, like spending so much money and effort and labor and all this shit to make these like nuclear weapons for what? Like for what? We're literally all working by ourselves as countries, as different like places to hurt the planet. Like why would you even make that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
It's such an interesting concept.
And then like there was one thing in like the doomsday where these people were preparing for a nuclear accident based off of a tsunami in Japan. So if there's a tsunami in Japan, then there would be a nuclear accident and people are prepared. And like, what the fuck? Like, why would we even make that? So like, it's also like people, because there are people with power and with money that decided to, let's make this thing that could hurt the whole entire planet. Like, let's do that.
This is what because this is from just watching TV shows and documentaries and stuff like that. But it's kind of crazy though. Like people literally will, like, for example, you'll have a scientist and he finds a way to cure cancer, for example. And what he wants, he just wants money at the end of the day, so he'll give it to the highest bidder. Now, the person that owns the cure for cancer is not going to put it out, but make more ways to create cancer and hold it, so that way you can just keep on paying.
They already have cures for cancer.
It's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
For example, the nuke, who was it? Albert Einstein that helped putting in contribute.
Yeah, it was a few people.
Son, he fucking regretted it because he sold it and he went for the wrong purpose. And they used to hurt people.
Yeah, well, obviously a nuke is going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, so those sorts of things, it's like what you decide. And like, it's also like, it's so interesting. There's so many different bounces of life, you know? Because like, we also talked about like, what if there was no money? Like, what if we just eliminated that? What if we gave everybody a certain amount of money? Well, you have to prepare, because like not everybody has a good heart, like a genuine soul that just cares about like other people and helping others. Like some people would do some bad shit with that money.
I think the way the world works though, naturally there's some form of an exchange in general. Like throughout life, it's always been like that. Like it's like when you're like back then. The only reason we're able to think about exchange is because we're not hungry. Because, you know, the pyramid of fucking of needs and stuff like that. Like the first thing we have to think about is like if we're hungry or not. Like that's why there's hunting and stuff like that. Right. Then it comes like security, safety, then personal development. And then personal development becomes exchange. Right. And that's why we're so advanced, because we could exchange. Money happened to be the currency. But back then it was like, yo, I'll give you this bread for give me that silk.
No, yeah, it was just bartering,
but it was always exchanging. So like that's why I feel like the money, like it's just the tool now, but it was something else back then. Like if everyone was given money, you guys would have had to trade it for something.
Money is going down. Like our dollar is going down, like all the time.
Here's my question with money as well. Do you feel because right now money isn't really backed by shit at all. So would it make a difference if somebody was to keep the value? Hey, $1 costs $1, $10 is $10, but there's nothing backing it up. So why not just print a fuck ton? everybody already has the value in it, so why not just do that?
It's the way economy works. It's very complicated on doing that.
Yeah, you can't just do that because they have a value for what they have.
It's based on like what's out there already, and then if you print out more, it's like
making it less current. Yeah, exactly.
That's what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Like that's why there's so much debt in the world and stuff. Like the U.S. is like 14 trillion, 16 trillion, something like that.
Yeah, it's 16.
But it's like, what is that? Like, what does that mean? You know? But
really, it's so crazy because like if you don't have money, freedom, you can't we can't see we can't just go to Brazil because we are humans, so we're like.
But back then there was no choice either.
Yeah,
like we couldn't have just gone to Brazil.
but nowadays it's different, and with money, like you could see the entire world if you wanted to.
Yeah. It is perspective. It's just like back then, in order to go from New Jersey to New York, you had to walk there and fucking everything, and that'd be like a week
trek
trip.
It in the snow. Yeah. But like even back then, like there was nobody there that's like, hey, you can't get in without paying this amount of money, or hey, like even New York, we can't get into New York without paying like the city until $16. Like
it was a lot more complicated though. There's so many territories, so many miscommunication. Because at least now it's universal. Like we could go anywhere with that.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
facts.
what are you trading me?
Facts.
You know. So at least this is like, I mean that's what Europe did. They have a universal currency because they're such small countries.
Yeah.
And it's like if everyone had their own countries, it's so complicated.
I feel that.
Imagine every state had a currency of their own. It would have been so complicated.
But I feel like, hell yeah. But I feel like as humans, we not are old, but we should be able to explore the fucking land. You know what I'm saying? Like it is as much ours as like somebody that's just like, hey, flag here, like this is ours.
You should, but without money, it wasn't capable in the first place. Because like I said, back then, you had to get your own food. You had to get your own house, build it yourself. You can't just buy it. You can't just have someone. And then back then, it's just like you're gonna travel. Who are you gonna get directions from? You know, this is like
back then is completely different.
Someone already did that. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's like people complain about it. I'm just like, yo, back then was horrible, man.
No, yeah, it's not
Do you
really.
guys remember prior GPS?
That shit, the maps.
That's no, but it's crazy. Prior
Yeah,
GPS,
you're like traveling miles out of the wrong way.
I had to get the MapQuest printed out, and then damn, just construction on this exit. Where do we go now?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it's not more so as like revolting back into the past because that wasn't easy either. Right. But I feel like as humans, like the way we've evolved, like we should be able to just explore the land and like see things and go see fucking Greece and like all these different places because that's so beautiful. Like even being on a boat in like Italy, like I don't know what the fuck that's like, but I know that it would be beautiful. But without like money, you would never have that experience. Yeah. And it's wild. But now we're like kind of given this out to where like if you do have money, if you're smart and you know how to make it and you do it properly, the world is yours.
Yeah, that's
actually
wild. That Scarface thing.
Literally though, like that shit is crazy. And that's why I think it's so important to like, I don't know. There's so much you could do. And people that are working those 9 to 5s, you know, it sucks, but like some of them may not ever have the opportunity to go see fucking Italy or to go see Spain. Like some people just won't. Why? Because it's fucking expensive.
Yeah, it's wild. They just lack of knowledge is what it is.
But it's crazy because like Australia, it's burning down. Like what if that shit, like God forbid, but what if something happened like really where there was no more Australia? Like we just wouldn't have seen it. The people that saw it before saw it, but like we won't be able to see it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild. That's what pushes me too, is just I want to see the world. You want to travel. I really do because everything is so different. Like people think that like this is just the one way it is, but it's not. Everywhere is so weird. Fucking different.
It's so weird.
What's so crazy I find is that people that went to like the Middle East before we went into the Middle East, and then how it looks like now, they're like, yo, it's just
Dubai didn't exist like 20 years ago. It just wasn't a thing. They built all those towers within like 25 years.
Facts.
Which is weird because they built skyscrapers and made a full city out of dust.
And now that's like one of the most like beautiful tourist place to go.
Most expensive.
They have
places.
like the most beautiful.
But it's all man-made. Like that whole lake thing, that's all man-made. It's wild.
Yeah, they have the most beautiful like airport and like different like places to go. Like it's one of the best places to go as a tourist, which is wild.
That's so crazy.
Oh. But that was done with all money.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's interesting.
One thing I want to ask you actually, what's your day look like? Like, how does your daily routine look like?
So I've been having these like different sorts of, because there's a lot of things that I want to do, but as far as modeling and doing fashion, it's interesting because a model, like a lot of the times, the shit happens during the day. You know, even if I go and do my own photo shoots, like it's in the sun, being that it's winter, it gets dark around like 4:30. So like there's so much to me, like I've been trying to steer away from this, but there's so much pressure to just like be outside during the day. And then like because of that, I have to do like clothes and fashion at night. And so I actually got sick because I wasn't sleeping. Like I was just like up all night, and then like during the day, like I would have to do stuff because it's daytime, and then like it's interesting. So I would say my daily thing is to kind of like get shit done during the day, and then when it comes like more towards nighttime, that's when I just like buckle down and like get shit done as far as clothing. Yeah.
How many pieces do you make a day, roughly?
It depends on what I'm doing. Like if I do sets, I could do a lot. Like there have been days where I made like 7-8 sets in a day. Yeah. But like a jacket, this took a little bit, so that would take maybe like if I buckled down, like a day.
How did you even? You made it from scratch, the jacket?
From scratch. These are fabrics that I got from an antique store in Boonton, New Jersey.
How did you learn it?
Fucking YouTube, trying it. Yeah, like trial and error. Like I made this huge like trench coat and it was horrible. But it was cool. But the inside was horrible. And like his friend was like, "Hey, like how much is that? Like what the fuck? That shit is hard." And I was like, I wouldn't sell it because like it's not already up to my standards yet. Yeah.
And it's gonna fall apart.
It wouldn't have fell apart, but it looked like horrible like in the inside, and it didn't have any like inside. But actually that one jacket I just made the inside. It's all red now. It's cozy. So that is, I guess, ready for sale.
That's sellable.
Yeah, sellable.
I know what you mean, though, because you're just like, you don't want to buy that?
Yeah, facts. This was my first jacket. So, like, before I even knew how it came out, I was like, I'm keeping this because, like, I don't know. It's like a practice.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah. So it depends. Pants, they take, like, sweatpants, sometimes, like, 3 hours. So just different. It depends on what I'm doing that day.
That's interesting. When was the last time you actually had a creative block?
I don't know. Every time I have a creative block, I kind of just push to just making something. Like it sounds weird because the block is like you don't know what to make, but I'll just start cutting things, sketching, like doing something to kind of like put myself into action. I used to just like kind of revert and be like, well, I don't know what to do, and then like maybe go on social media or maybe just do some pointless things. But now it's more towards like action. Whenever I have that like blockage, I just push to like making something else.
That's interesting. I feel like that's always different with people because some people like literally get burnt out.
Yeah.
And some people like like you said, they just push through.
Yeah. To me, like my fashion and like my whole line is my main thing. Like I feel like that is gonna skyrocket, but it's also limited to how much I can do. So there's a lot of pressure in myself because there's nobody else telling me, okay, you need to make this amount of sets done, you need to have this amount of jackets. Like it's all me. So what I've kind of reverted to right before the year started was kind of like separating it, almost like a persona kind of thing, as like life coaches do, because I had this realization that life coaches, they still have their own life coach. Like when it comes to themselves, like it's hard to do certain things, but when it comes to others, if you came to me with like a problem and I was having the same problem, I would most likely have advice to give you, some sort of direction to follow, because it's just like, I don't know, it's like an internal knowing. But when it comes to yourself, it's a little harder. So I started like managing myself in a sense of like writing what I need to get done, like, I don't know, just like trying to be my own
a separate entity.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, because that's how I talk to myself about like about problems in general. I'm just like, all right, Elvis, this is another Elvis. Like, what are you gonna do?
That's like, the best way to do it, because like it's getting the best.
You're just objectifying it. Yeah. That's all. There's just no emotion to it. You have your own personal emotions, but then when you objectify it, it's like, all right, this is exactly what's happening.
Right.
So what are you gonna do about it?
It's a lot easier that way too. I don't know why, but it's always easier to help others.
Because you separate the emotion and then the actual logic behind it, and then when you keep them separate, then you could see like how much is actually influencing. like how much your emotions are influencing your actual decisions.
Facts. That's actually so true. Just like your emotional standpoint, when you kind of like distance yourself from that, that's why it becomes easier to answer shit. Especially because like also we all have like internal desires. So even if you know what you have to do, like for yourself, like, I don't really feel like doing that. But another person coming in and you telling them what you need to do, they'd be like, all right, this is the steps you need to take.
And sometimes you need to pay attention to your emotions. Like sometimes you just like, honestly, like logically this makes sense, but you're just like, I just want to do this. So just follow
Facts.
that.
And just keep going.
Yeah. I feel like that makes sense. And that's nice to see it.
Yeah. What do you do with Creator's Bloc?
It depends. I honestly just look. I do stop sometimes, but it's very rare. It's been a while.
What do you mean by stop?
Like if I'm trying to come up with like a video concept, or like I'm editing and I'm just like I'm burnt out. I'm like, all right, fuck, I'm gonna just do something else, but something else that's creative still.
Facts.
So like if I'm doing a video, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just do photography. It's like because I'm fresh in that. If I'm not doing that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just build something. Like I just start.
That's really good though, because it kind of like alleviates the pressure from all these things that like once you start almost close to finishing a project, you start to get so much like thoughts. And sometimes I listened to this podcast about procrastination. Sometimes there's like a power in kind of procrastinating because you have like, for instance,
it's in the back of your head and then you're thinking it. So when you're doing something, you're just still thinking about that.
Yeah.
But then that's how you're properly supposed to procrastinate. Like there's a procrastination in two ways.
Yeah.
It's like you say you're going to take a test, right? Or like do a project. It's like you could procrastinate by just literally putting it to the side. But if you read the directions and read what you have to do, and then you just still put it to the side,
right?
That's running in your head. So you're running it like your subconscious influence,
and you're going through like different like how it could work, how it could not work. You're like kind of perfecting it in a sense. For me, like making the jacket, I had that idea for like months, and I couldn't bring myself to finally do it because I was scared of how it was gonna turn out.
Yeah.
But then like throughout all of that time, I was like I was like flipping fabrics in my head. Like I had visuals of just like how things would lay out, and I was like, wow, like this is kind of helping me, because had I not, procrastinated and really like thought about this, it would have ended up shitty as fuck.
And yeah, that's the beauty of like having it in the back of your head, like render there in the back.
Facts. That's so important, especially with when you do have creator's block, is to just like keep going, act in a different form. So if it's videography,
or just push it through until you burn out and everything. It's like everyone has different ways for it.
Yeah,
like,
even if you push it until it burns out and it doesn't come out the greatest, it'll still push you maybe to the best project you've ever did the next time.
100%.
It's all part of the process. 100%.
So lastly, I want to get into what advice would you give to people in your field?
In my field, as far as fashion, as far as modeling, as far as creativity.
What do you feel is your strongest asset?
I feel like definitely all, because even though I don't have like the biggest platform in the world, I get so often people just like messaging me like, hey, like you have inspired me to keep modeling. Like I've met people at events, they're like, you're the reason why I started modeling. And so like little things like that, people have hit me up for the same thing, for kind of like fashion. Yo, I've always had the desire to start a fashion line. Like I think I'm gonna do it. Like things like that. I feel like is to just do it. Like it's easier said than done, but to just act, as far as just think about it. If you're always thinking about like these great ideas, it doesn't matter because it's not put into action.
Everyone has great ideas.
Exactly. Yeah. And like what's the like people that have new inventions, there are probably other people that thought of that before, but they didn't do it. Yeah. So I would say like the best thing is to just act, and just to surround yourself with the best sort of direction that you need to go, and kind of just keep going no matter what, and get out of your thoughts so much. And also distance yourself from social media, from like what other people are doing, TV, like all of that shit, and just like really focus on yourself and what you want to do, your true aspirations, your true goals, what like make yourself proud. That's what I would say.
That's nice.
Yeah. What would you say?
Same thing. I think people are into their thoughts a lot. Like I said, it's like everyone has a great idea that's always been out. Everyone knows something. Everyone has an opinion.
Facts.
But very few people actually do it. And very few people are willing to actually sacrifice to what they're asking in the world. Mm-hmm. So you need to understand what you want to know What minute is it?
29.
All right, I'm gonna stop it then. I'll come back to that. It's gonna stop mid convo. All right, so what would I say? It is just stay out of your thoughts, because you're never gonna know the whole process,
Right.
and as long as you're going through the process, you need to trust that you're gonna figure it out. When I do a video or anything in general, I've always just roughly knew what I was doing, but I trust that I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
And I think once you have that trust in yourself, it's just everything becomes a lot easier because there's not much weight on it. Because say like you're traveling across the country, and you're trying to figure out what route you're gonna take, what intersections, what like roadblocks, everything. You're never gonna know because there's so much time in between that, and so much could happen in between that
Right.
that you're just literally gonna be unprepared. And for you to try to figure that out, it just doesn't make sense because you're actually never gonna know,
Right.
and that means you're never gonna do it.
Even if you did know, you know, like there, just like you said, there's so many things that could happen in between that you just
Flat tire, anything. You just
Anything.
you just need to trust that you know how to like figure it out.
And also something else that I would say is just alleviate fear. Like just go and like run towards it full throttle
Yo, I do the same thing.
and just get rid of all your fears, because like we're living, we don't even know how long we have. So live to your utmost like potential. Do everything that you can. Do everything that you can't. Like just act, just live, because like that experiences is something that not everybody, especially before us, like our ancestors, they didn't have all the options. Like you said, they couldn't just go to Brazil and fucking zip line in the jungle. Like we can.
It just wasn't a thing.
Exactly. And if you're scared of like heights and shit, well then you're never going to experience that beautiful feeling of just like soaring through the fucking trees and vines and shit, you know? So it's just like just pushing yourself past your limit and kind of like
And anything I've ever got into was because I was scared. Photography, I was scared because I wasn't sure I could do it. Video, I was scared because I wasn't sure that I could actually edit. Podcasting, I was scared because I was scared to talk in front of a camera with somebody. Everything I've ever done, like I've always like how you said, like run towards it, because I'm just like, that means it's a good path.
And look at you, you've excelled so much and you've inspired so many people just by conquering your fears.
Yeah, I feel, because I see a lot of people do that, so it's just like everyone inspires me in that sense. I've always had like a weird relationship with like having a mentor, because I'm just like, it just, I don't know, like I think having one mentor doesn't make sense. And sometimes for me, like I've always tried to figure it out or learn off of like people, like little by little, but just put it together into one thing.
Right.
And everyone's like my mentor for that sense. So
it should be, because everything, like we said, like has something to offer, even if they don't realize it. I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with someone and they tell you something that hits you so deep,
and it's just
and
like
they're like,
clicks.
how do you know that? And then like they don't even practice what they preach. They don't even like go about that sort of belief
it
or
just hit
knowledge.
you.
But it was for you. So it was literally the universe talking through them to you. That's how I look at it. Like everybody should be your mentor.
Well, Aiyana, that was an amazing convo. Let everyone know where to find you.
Find me at Aiyana Fig or Vinyana Global.
How do you spell Vinyana Global?
VINYANA _global. Dot.
And Elvis Likes Photos, basically on every platform actually. So
Creator's Bloc, you heard.
Creator's Bloc.
Creator's
of
Bloc.
course. Without the K at the end, because I thought it looked cooler.
It does. It does. It's like more
think the
like
K's
edgy, like
I think that K just kind of like annoyed me. It's just weird.
yeah,
right?
you didn't need it.
But Aiyana, thank you for being on the podcast.
Of course, anytime.
This was awesome, and we'll catch up again. So
Facts. Can we do like a handshake or something?
I don't know.
All right, ready? Go this way, go up, go down, slide it, pound.
How'd you come up with that? Is that like
Don't know. I have no idea. I felt like I needed a ending.
ending for that? Just this whole thing was like that's funny, bro. That's wild, yo.
Feet got out, was like, yo, I need a blunt.
Yeah, that's literally how he was probably. This thing was
Definitely.
fucking like.
Hour and a half before, and it wasn't in the car.
Yo, do you guys have
That's
gum
why
or
I know they're
anything?
just bugging.
Oh no, I forget. I got my mints. Oh yeah. I need to get.
Hell yeah.
I need to get Altoids to fucking sponsor me, bro.
Yo, just every.
Yo, your videos are awesome. Do a little thing of Altoids and then like.
I'm about
literally
to.
every podcast. Yo, shout out to Altoids.
Thank you for sponsoring this one.
I'm trying to get a coffee sponsor, and I might get George's from my street.
So how do you go about getting a sponsor? Because like last year I had the option to be like or to try out for like Miss America or whatever the fuck.
Really?
Yeah, Miss USA. But like I needed to find hella
sponsor?
sponsors.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's fucking hard, to be honest.
I'm like, how the fuck you know?
You get to know somebody, to be honest. I mean, most cases like that, people have agencies. That's why.
I'm trying to get better at selling, you know, just with words and psychology and like.
I could 100% get people to like be friends with me, but it's the closing, like business aspect that gets me troubled. Because like I'm good at. I mean, I was a banker. Like I was good at getting people to like to sit down with me and spend like hours with me and stuff. Like I was fine, you know. It was easy for me. But like sales, like, I mean, I would tell them straight up. I'm like, yo, just don't get this because you came here for this, but it doesn't make sense for you.
That's like
Which
loyal.
is good, you know.
Yeah.
And they come back for me because of that reason.
Yeah, because you tell them straight. Like I always say, the people in retail, the one person that's like, that doesn't really look good on you, but try this. Like that person is always gonna get so much better like feedback and loyal customers because they were honest with them.
It makes sense. It 100% makes sense.
You like actually give people good advice when you're a banker? So definitely.
I knew my shit. I knew all the products like in and out.
They'll come right back to you.
So yeah, they come
Hell
back.
yeah.
Because I was, these were business people too. Like I was in Hoboken, so they were business like owners that had like hundreds and thousands of dollars. And
You've already crossed that threshold. It's only like the second half where you just got to work on selling.
yeah, that's you know what it is. It's the rejection part that like that people have to get used to.
Let me tell you, me and her, we're working on like getting into like marketing and shit like that. So if you need marketing done, talk to us. Check it out. It is so difficult because some people are just like, nah, I don't need it, and it's like, but you obviously do, and it's just like they don't see it.
If you look at the masterclass, it's a masterclass that talks about negotiation. Remember the one I showed you? Yeah. It's one is negotiation. He was like an FBI agent and stuff, and he would talk about like it's interesting. Actually, you should watch it.
I definitely would.
I have to pay for it, but I'll choose mine or some shit like that.
There's
but,
hella masterclass out there about like, you know.
Masterclass.
No, but this is like actual masterclass. Like this is like this. I think this is where everybody gets their shit. But like, there's like Gordon Ramsay's on it.
Oh
like,
shit.
Like Timberland.
There's
and,
an
like,
app.
Well, yeah, because it's an actual masterclass. Like, look, Neil deGrasse Tyson is on it.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
These are legit, like, you know, Skillshare.
Yes.
This is like Skillshare, but actual like professionals.
Oh wow! I was talking about masterclasses like from like YouTube. Where
Yeah,
they
because
have
people
those,
make
like,
people make those up. But I'm saying this is actual masterclass.
that sounds
Like film, they have Martin Scorsese like on it. Samuel Jackson.
Oh shit!
They got Ron Howard, Spike Lee.
They have some
Spike Lee.
insane people.
Yeah, no, this is legit. Like music, they got Timberland, they got Christina Aguilera,
What?
they got Usher teaching.
For photography, they have some other shit. Like
They have that girl.
that one lady.
Any Lubitz. That girl.
Annie Lutzabitz?
Yeah.
It's the photographer's job to put the subject.
Yeah. That's a commercial. All right. Wait, yo, what time are we in right there? Like I was recording right now.
Oh, you were?
I was record prior.
6 minutes.
Just to make sure.
Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3.